Is that a bomb ticking? What the hell is that?
Not my end.
Y'all infidels were burning witches tonight. Not even Smokey the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments picked him with a Band-Aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I gotta maintain some level of like, making sure that you're in a good place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appeal to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you.
Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here for another episode of the Barroom Podcast, episode number 78. We are here live, and we have some familiar faces back with us once again on a very rabid episode here at the Barroom. Orange Hat, I think he's here in the ether, right? Orange Christmas Hat Reviews. How you doing there, Orange?
I'm doing all Christmas spirity, yada yada.
I have a tree that's okay. So here's my dilemma. I got a tree that's in the closet right now. I hadn't put it up yet because I was waiting to like get my couch to fill out my front room, but it's the 12th now, so I only have like a couple more weeks to even put a Christmas tree up. So I'm kind of figuring out, do I just put it up like now, or do I just like say screw it and not put one up? I don't know. It feels like it's going to be a thing one way or another, but it's in the closet right now, so we're stuck in the closet. Also, someone who's not stuck in the closet at the moment is our good buddy Nerdigans. How you doing there, Nerdigans?
Good. You might see my menorah lit in a little bit. I'm gonna go off cam because I forgot to light it. Like before I came on, I just realized that. But I have an LED one here that I'm gonna light, so you'll see it in probably like 10 minutes or so.
Happy Hanukkah.
Let me ask you a question here, because there's a whole bunch of crap all over your wall. It's been there for a while now. Is it like mounted to the wall, or did you like strategically place it there?
I actually have it. I use pins, push pins on there, and with this I use Gorilla Tape, so that is permanently there. And then the rest of it is it's all pins up there. Yeah.
For some reason, I'm just like envisioning a scenario where you just like bump into the wall, then you're just crushed under the weight of your own toys. Like, that'd be a bad way to go out.
No, it's not. It's not like that at all. No, okay. I have it. It's all secure. It's not going anywhere.
All right then, and then also joining us here tonight is our good buddy Rob Moneybucks Motto. How you doing there, Money?
Doing pretty good. My parents are actually putting up the Christmas tree right now. They both had the flu recently, so it's a little slower than usual. And for whatever reason, probably just out of love, my mother has collected Batman ornaments for me from like the Hallmark store for like going on 20 years. So I have this miniature tree beside my bed in the den down here with just all littered with Batman ornaments. So um it's gotten to be one of those things where even as I move away from comic books, people still buy me shit. So it's like, it's good because it shows that they care, but it's also like you can stop now.
You're
Good.
gonna be a comic book fan whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Emphasis on not. Let's go ahead and introduce some of our people joining us in the chat right now. Spencer's here early saying bird up. So we're saving this for that Alex Jones, Elon Musk conversation for later on in the night. We have Neozoic joining us here saying, good evening, folks. Says, question, which Christmas horror film would you rather watch? Black Christmas, the original, not the 2 remakes, or Krampus? Is that a recent movie, Krampus? Because I do remember seeing one in like
was,
2000,
I think, like
10 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
Then they made a bunch of straight to DVD ones during the same year, which all sucked. But that one was actually pretty good.
Here's my history with Black Christmas. I don't think I've actually seen the 1970 movie. I saw the 2006 one, and I thought that movie was horrible, especially with all the fake advertising they did with that one. If you remember that film when it came out, there was a whole bunch of scenes that they showed in the trailer and the promotionals. Turns out wasn't in the movie like at all. So there's like several death scenes that weren't featured in the film at all. I think Michelle Trachtenberg had like a shotgun in one of them. That didn't happen. She just died like randomly, and of course they didn't tell you that until after you watched the movie. So I've always had a hatred for that film until I saw the 2019 Black Christmas. It was like, oh, I actually owe that film an apology because that's how bad the 2019 film is. So if you're asking me to choose between the two, I would pick Krampus. So yeah, that's me. What about you guys?
Krampus.
I'll go with Black Christmas. I recently watched it for October, during the Halloween month, and it was really good. It has this really sick sense of humor and nastiness to it, on top of being just a really effective slasher movie. And I think it has an interesting conceit with the killer being inside the house the entire time. So the 2 sequels or not sequels, but remakes that have come out, I don't think I've watched because the reputation is so bad. And I'll say this, Krampus, which I think was a Netflix movie, maybe it wasn't, but I think it's the movie with Adam Scott. But I actually thought it was pretty decent. I mean, I'm certainly not a big like holiday movie guy, but I thought for what it was pretty decent.
All right. Nerdigans, do you have anything to contribute to this? I'm going to take that as a no. Bonus question. Favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol?
Finishing up getting my menorah set up here. Making sure it's not falling. I just finished the prayer. And it's just being stupid at the moment because I have it hooked up to my the USB hooked up to my computer, so I'm just dealing with that. I'll be back on in a second.
She's Twitch thoughting right now. That's if she doesn't want nobody to know, but we'll talk about that another day. Bonus question: favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol?
Mine's probably okay. It's not the best, right? I was gonna say Scrooge is probably my favorite, but I think the best version of A Christmas Carol is the one with Alistair Sim from 1951. But I've seen every major one. And this is all a good question for Rick because I think he might have seen more of them than I have. But yeah, those are probably my 2.
We're gonna be here for like 30 minutes.
Fair enough. Rick. Fair enough.
Who else we have here? Doba Fett saying howdy to everyone. I think he's going with A Christmas Carol, Black Bladders. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Who else do we have here? Biggle Metch joining us over from Sporking Stream, saying hey to everyone here tonight. We got Alex versus Evil here tonight. Duke Nukem with an interesting question. Do you watch harem anime? So is this the anime where it's like one dude with a bunch of women who he can't have sex with for like 22 episodes? Is that the concept that I'm understanding here?
There's also reverse harem as well, where it's the opposite, where there's a girl and that has a bunch of guys after her too. Both of them, it depends. It depends on the story. And for me, there's a really good one, and it has the best MC, and that would be God's Cafe Terrace, because the main character Hayato, he don't take shit from anybody. Nah, he is not a simp or anything like that for his harem. Nah, and he also
here's my problem with it. It's like, what the hell is the point of being in a house with like 10 hot women that you can't have sex with, and you're never going to have sex with them throughout any course of the show? That just seems like torture, right? That would be like living in the Playboy mansion, but you can't have sex with any of the playmates. It's like, then why am I here? Like, what's even fundamentally the point of me being here at that point?
Again, it depends on the story. With God's Cafe Terrace,
the story is that you're not getting laid. That's the story.
It does. It really does depend on the context. And with God's Cafe Terrace, it's written really well. It's not. This isn't like. This isn't like domestic. Well, domestic Nakanojo. That one is in a harem, but that one up until the final 10 chapters. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. That manga.
All you people who know these animes on a first name basis need Jesus. That's all I'm going to say there. Drax the Clown is here saying the meme lord Alex Jones has returned. Vanya is also joining us here from last night as well. You see Rob's in the chat, and then Cassie will be in the chat later tonight. You say your tree is gay. I mean, it's in the closet, so I mean, I can't even deny that one. Kate joining us here tonight. Just put it up with the lights and put the ornaments on it when you have time. I don't know. I mean, I gotta like cut it out and then like set. I haven't got time. It'll be up at some point. It's in a wet red, white, and blue tree. I'll just get to it on my own time. Neil Zoic saying that Christmas horror, probably Black Christmas if you have to choose. So Tactus Jones is going with Black horror movie. Who else do we have here as well? It says it's going to be a comic book. Yeah, exactly. He's going to love all the comic book movies that comes out here. No, I think Krampus came out in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was like a year or two before I actually started reviewing movies professionally, but I do remember that was one of the last ones beforehand. Also, without Black Christmas, we wouldn't have Halloween. So Halloween was the pioneer of the slasher game inspired by Black Christmas. That is indeed correct. Spencer going something about Muppets. Yeah, the Alistair Sim 151. I'd say that's a pretty safe one if you're gonna choose one. Biggles is going with the DuckTales version. Interesting choice. Jim Carrey from Alex vs. Evil here. Who else do we have here? Yeah. Biggle saying that harem animes are either really good or really weird. Goblin Slayer is a fake harem anime. I'm gonna take your word for it. Yeah, Krampus confirmed came out in 2015. So there you go. I'm right.
Yeah.
So
there's a. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was a Scrooged meme where the boss comes out and he's like, "You're going to be visited by 3 and then you see Bill Murray cranking on his proton pack, and he's like, and the boss is like, "I'll see myself out."
I mean, I guess we'll talk about that when we get to Ghostbusters, but I did see the trailer for that one, and I don't know what to feel about that one now. That doesn't look good from what I've seen.
Was the Frozen?
Yeah,
the Frozen
everybody's
City
freaking out.
Yeah, everyone's frozen in fear, literally.
Everybody's freaking out because Patton Oswalt is in it. It's like, look, I get he's a fucking asshole. I get he's a freaking douchebag retard.
And he might have killed his girlfriend.
And he might have killed his girlfriend. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That I didn't know about. But I'm not going to let it destroy my love for Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
hey, look, he may be a murderer, but I love Ghostbusters more than I love murderers.
Well, I don't love murderers, so yeah.
Trust me, I cross that bridge every time I watch Chinatown. So yeah.
Not to mention, I also like I like a principle of our nation that's known as due process. So.
Well, yeah, we'll get into the Clinton talk later on because we are bringing up Obama later on. So, let's go ahead and start this one off with football. Let's start this off with football. The Kansas City Chiefs. I love how he got that late. The Kansas City Chiefs lost again this Sunday, and they lost to the Buffalo Bills. And our two-time Super Bowl quarterback Patrick Mahomes had a little bit of a melty down. So, the Kansas City Chiefs is the defending Super Bowl champions. They've probably been the most annoying team out of everyone in football this season, because it's either been about Patrick Mahomes being upset about the refs, even though if it wasn't for the refs, they probably would have lost 5 more games than they had this season long, or all the coverage has been about Taylor Swift at the Chiefs games. She was at this Chiefs game and they still lost. So that's all I got to say there. Maybe she could go away. So the video here's exactly what happened. It was late in the game. I believe the Buffalo Bills were up, the Chiefs were driving, and on the play that was supposedly going to be a touchdown, it was a pass to Travis Kelce. He lateraled it back to a receiver who ran in for a touchdown. However, the play was waved off because one of the Chiefs wide receiver was blatantly offsides, and I mean absolutely blatantly offsides, and Patrick Mahomes had an absolute meltdown. So here's a picture of the play itself right before it happened. He's about a good 2 feet above the center, which is clearly an offside, the easiest call that you can possibly make. Now, I get it, the play was cool, and people were upset that they shouldn't have called it, but it's like they literally threw the flag before, like right as the ball was being snapped. So it doesn't matter how cool the play was, it was blown dead almost immediately because of this. But here's one reaction that Patrick Mahomes had during the game last night, where he was screaming at the referees for calling the offsides, the blatant offsides.
Well, have they lost the locker room? What is going on here with Mahomes?
I just said the frustration is growing for Mahomes. He can only do so much, Jim. And how many times
did they eject him from the game?
I mean, at that point, the game was already over, so they didn't need to eject him. But then, of course, there's the video here that I didn't see till after the fact. This is right as the game ended. They go in midfield, and he's still complaining about the offsides call. This is him complaining about Josh Allen.
And
like I said, he's blaming. No, his receiver was blatantly offsides, but he's blaming the ref as if it's the ref's fault for making a very obvious call. So he was all in his feelings for quite a while here.
Is he the one that was crying in the stands to his mama?
No,
that was
Caleb Williams
of
Caleb
USC.
Williams.
No, that's a different biracial quarterback. But I know they all look the same. So then he had the post conference comments where he was further went in about his rant about the refs. I'll just play a little bit of it here.
Sure. I mean, it's obviously tough to swallow.
That's what she said.
Not only for me, but just for football.
Is this X video again?
That, I mean, for a guy like Travis to make a play like that, and who knows if we win, but as I know as fans, you want to see the guys on the field decide the game, and that's why last week I didn't say anything about the flag that didn't get called on the Marquez. And so, I mean, they're human, man. They make mistakes, but I mean, it's every week we're talking about something, and all I can do is go out there and give everything I have, and I'm proud of the guys because that's what we did, and it was a great football game that ended. Another great football game that just ended like that. It's just tough to swallow.
So keep in mind, he's complaining about the play that's called. We're not talking about like a pass interference play or like a holding play or something like that. We're talking about offsides. It's like this is like a little before the play even starts. So it's like, yeah, if you commit a penalty before the play starts, it means it's going to get waved off like regardless. It's the same thing like if the defensive team gets an interception, but they get called holding before the fact that it's not going to count. And it's like this is basic football 1-on-1. But for some reason, Patrick Mahomes seems offended at the fact that the refs made that call against his team for some weird reason. So here's the funny thing about the Kansas City Chiefs. Earlier in the season, it looked like they were going to run away towards another Super Bowl, and now all of a sudden, I think they've lost 3 of the last 4 games. They're in 3rd place in the AFC right now. Somehow, don't ask me how this happened, the Denver Broncos are 1 game away from leading this division. I mean, when they lost to Miami, gave up 70 points. I don't think anyone thought they'll be anywhere near the playoffs, yet here they are at the moment. So people are starting to come down on Patrick Mahomes, calling him a crybaby, calling him a whiner. I think people are getting sick and tired of the whole Taylor Swift coverage. I know there was a story about Al Michaels might not be doing Thursday Night Football or the playoff coverage anymore because of his opposition to the whole thing. So it's starting to get really bad here. Like I said, I think everyone is starting to slowly turn against against the Kansas City Chiefs in the same way that for 2 decades people turned against the New England Patriots, and in the same fashion here too. Because I mean, look, there was a lot of questionable calls made during that time period that benefited Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a reputation for being a little bit of a whiner too when things didn't go his way as well. So we're seeing that repeat here again. I'm gonna start here with Rob here since you've been off for a while and talking about football. What's your take on the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes losing his mind because a very obvious call didn't go his way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people forget this, but in week 1, they had to tell Jamar Taylor to stop jumping early, into his passing stance, blocking for Patrick Mahomes, because he was getting like a full half second before the ball was snapped, getting back in his stance. There's a lot of things that have benefited the Kansas City Chiefs over the last couple of years. Now, you could just say that's because, they're a very talented team and they've beaten a lot of their competitors, just heads up. But, a lot of people feel like, they've gotten a lot of calls to go their way. And them complaining about an offensive offsides call, which, by the way, never gets called. It never gets called. You know why? Because it's your basic job as an offensive skill player to be lined up correctly. That's elementary. If you're not doing that, you failed at your basic duties on offense as a receiver, a tight end, a back, etc. You have to know where you're lining up correctly. And you made a mistake. You made a penalty. You have to suffer the consequences. That's just football. The way he reacted, the way going at the referee, it's like that's like a spoiled child. That's like a rich kid who plays, football or whatever, acting like he's entitled to the win or the score or whatever it might be. And so, and I have a lot of respect for Patrick Mahomes on a talent level. I think he's an incredibly talented, incredibly skilled quarterback, but he's acting like a complete child with no self-awareness that, again, he's gotten a lot of calls to go his way, and he's been incredibly successful throughout his career and hasn't faced much adversity. And so this is nothing. It's like, if you can't get over, a call that doesn't go your way, I'm not sure, you're going to be able to continue this season. And I think that a lot of the frustration is boiling over because he can't yell at his receivers, even though they suck. They really do. I mean, since Tyreek Hill left, they have not been nearly as good. So, it's like they need to add some playmakers. Maybe he needs to take less money. You see the strain of a $50 million yearly salary, and then the rest of the team is sort of bare bones. So we'll see what the Chiefs end up doing here. But yeah, this was not a good look for him or his public reputation.
I'll say this real quick too. I think definitely you see this year as well, especially with the whole Taylor Swift fiasco. I think Patrick Mahomes is starting to let the fame, and it's him and his wife, if we're being completely honest, they're letting the fame go to their heads because both of them have been kind of like wilding out in the public here for the last several weeks. And obviously it makes sense. Like I say, he's a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he's dating a pretty decent looking girl and whatnot, but she apparently posted some kind of meme on social media. Not a meme, but she posted a video on social media complaining about the refs after the fact because the refs made the call, and she had like something listed like MVP of the game. And this is the thing that's hypocritical for me. Like I said, there's been at least 5 games this season where you want to talk about not even just this season. Look at the very last Super Bowl game we just played. Like they won a Super Bowl a call that was made by the refs in the last 2 minutes that allowed them to win that game in the first place. They probably should have lost to Philadelphia in that game, and they got a very, very favorable call in their favor here. And now all of a sudden, because one call doesn't go their way, and it wasn't even in a questionable one, not even one that we can sit here on a Sports Center and be like, was this pass interference? Was this actually holding? It's like you were blatantly in front of the football. It's like there's really nothing to discuss here. And like I said, this is the way that they're acting, not even facing real adversity. It's only going to be downhill from here. So Nerdigans, as a lovely San Francisco 49ers fan, what are your take on Patrick Mahomes?
49ers fan.
We all know that you're from the Cali Bay area. You don't have to admit it anymore. What do you think about the whole thing with the Chiefs going on right now? Do you think that Mahomes is basically just being a whiny little bitch?
Of course he's being a whiny little bitch, but he's lucky, based on what I've seen on social media, he's lucky that the refs didn't call for illegal formation as well. There was a major illegal formation going on. But I think more interesting response is from Andy Reid in this whole thing. Like, based on what he was saying, it sounded like he needed the refs to baby them and like notify them that the formation was incorrect. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It confused
That to me shows you just how they have such a positive relationship with the refs that they were just expecting the refs to correct them. Like, hey, you guys are offside. You need to back up. It's like, well, is that a thing now? Is it the refs' job to let you know you're committing a penalty beforehand? And quick note to Biggles Mets here. He says that shouldn't the play have been called dead beforehand? That's only if it's a false start. Like if you start the play beforehand, then they'll call it a dead ball. But if you're just simply offsides, they'll let the play go on. But it's going to be a penalty regardless. So go back. Nerdigans.
But the other thing I do want to point out, because we're talking about the wives here, is that I think I posted in our chat as well, is what happened with the Niners, and we talked about the Niners anyway, the Niners Seahawks game where Fred Warner pulled a bitch move, hit DK Metcalf in the head, and he responded and attacked back. He got ejected while Fred Warner didn't get ejected at all. And his wife was a complete bitch and attacked DK Metcalf, and everyone was attacking DK Metcalf until they realized what happened. And then because his wife got attacked for that stupid shit that she said, she deleted the post. I can't remember off the top of my head what she said, but it was unbelievable. The wives need to just keep their mouths shut when it comes to this. Same with players that aren't even playing on the field, like a certain long snapper that was telling DK Metcalf he was gonna fuck him up. I was like, in sign language, it's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Seriously, sit down. It was a white player too. It was one of the long snappers. I'm like, everyone was looking at him like, what are you doing? DK Metcalf's gonna fuck you up. Seriously.
Here's another thing. So we all know that Patrick Mahomes is a very, very annoying brother on social media who's been involved in numerous things that has gotten him lots of hate on the interwebs. His wife is now becoming more insufferable now that she's taking on the role of the player's wife, and she's hanging out in the box with Taylor Swift like she's a celebrity too. So she's become more insufferable, and now it seems like this mentality is bleeding over the Patrick himself. Like, let's just put it to you this way: have they worked themselves into a shoot in the sense here that they've bought into their own hype and they're now believing their own BS here? Is that what's going on with this team now, Rob?
I mean, I hope not for their sake. You'd think that there would be enough historical examples of what not to do in terms of the distractions off the field and celebrity, and because it's like, once you're not at the top of the world, no one's going to give a shit in Hollywood, about you, or all of your little like famous friends. It's like that all that's going to go away if you sort of like lose your positioning and lose your status in the NFL. So it's like that's why people care about you. That's why people want to see you, because you're supposed to be the very best at arguably the most difficult position to play in professional sports, and to be the best at that is an incredible accomplishment. So it's like Again, I hope for their sake it doesn't go that way. I think the game will suffer because of it. You know what I mean? Like if we have a top tier quarterback shit hits the fan with him and he lose, he's not the same player anymore. It's like the game is worse off because of that. Competition is worse because of it. So I hope that doesn't happen, but this is why I personally think professional athletes should not be on social media. Social media is a giant distraction that has no benefit. It seriously, it's just a giant, it's an obstacle that gets in the way of, preparing for your next opponent or getting better or, preparing. So yeah, I hope these people just go away. I hope Taylor Swift stops getting all this attention, because it just makes people hate the Chiefs, frankly.
Yep. I have a question here for Nerdigans or Rob before we wrap things up. Orange, just want to kind of get your thoughts on essentially what we're talking about here. I know you're not the biggest football guy, but what's kind of your thoughts on Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes? Because, I mean, look, Mahomes, now that Tom Brady's officially away from football, like he is the new poster child of the NFL. They're putting all of their eggs on his basket, and he's going out here and acting like a child over a play that was obviously the right play to make here. What do you think about this whole story with the Chiefs?
I think that the NFL has lost something very precious, and that's the ability for their players to lose gracefully. And when you have a person acting like that on the field and off the field during the gameplay, you're lucky that when you're not on the field, you can't be penalized unless you do something seriously egregious on the other or on the side of the field. Because honestly, I'd do conduct unbecoming or whatever there is, if there is such a thing for the NFL, for football, or whatever the penalty used to be. But as for the Chiefs in general, maybe they, or if they're going to keep putting Taylor Swift on the fucking screen, why not just name her the fucking mascot of the team? Because honestly, I don't want to, or if I was a person who was back into sports and whatnot, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to subscribe to your networks if you are just putting a bony little bitch on the fucking screen when I'm here to watch football. I don't care about that. However, I am curious about your number one fan, which is that 5-year-old little kid that might be a millionaire before he reaches the age of 7. Was he at that game? Because I would actually like to see more of him, because he's more of a fan than Taylor Swift ever will be. And I think that they should actually show the fans more than celebrities.
I'm not sure if that fan was at the game, because I know like that kid was in the Raiders game that was in Vegas. So I'm not sure if he's a local or if they travel or whatnot. So I don't know if he would be in that game. But to that point here, this is something that I've noticed with a lot of the games this year. A couple people have brought this up as well. It's that Patrick Mahomes on a player level, I think a lot of people are starting to figure out like that whole offense, which is why they're not really as effective as they were in years prior. But here's another thing that I've noticed. I want to get your take on this one, because you guys follow football a lot more closely. I've noticed that a lot of the games, especially these last few weeks, last month or so, they've been really, really bad. Like the quality of football over this last like couple of months is just like awful. Like teams feel like they can't even like score points. It's not because it's great defense. It's like literally just bad offense and bad football. I mean, we saw the Raiders and the Vikings in on a 3-0 game on a last second field goal. Like 2 weeks before that, we saw the Chargers beat the Patriots, was it 6-0 or something like that? And we're just seeing a lot of low scoring, terrible games, and the offense is just not as good as they used to be. There's only a handful of exciting players, and even then it's not really doing much to save the grace of the game. Are we just in an era of like really bad football right now? Is this where we're at, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been some really amazing things that have happened this year, like CJ Stroud torching Tampa Bay's defense for 450 yards as a rookie. Like that game was, and I hate the Texans, and I was just like, I mean, that's amazing, you know. So I mean, there have definitely been moments this year that have got me excited or interested. I mean, Joe Flacco coming back at 38 to successfully quarterback the Browns. You know what I mean? So I mean, there are things like that. But there's also very like there is a lot of bad football out there. Okay, a lot of starting quarterbacks have been knocked out for the year. So that alone is, people aren't going to watch as much when you know that there's not a starting caliber type of talent at quarterback. And you know, like Jets and the Vikings and Kyler Murray was out half the year. I mean, he's back now. I mean, but you have like 9 to 10 starting. Justin Herbert now is out. Ryan Tannehill was out for most of the season. Will Levis kind of got his feet under him. So you know, it's like I can point to that and just say, hey, offensive football is down because a lot of quarterbacks got knocked out for the year. But I also think that the product, I think the officiating has been as the worst it's ever been. And I've been watching since 1996 as an avid fan. The officiating is god awful. And I say that when I'm watching, you know, I'm not watching a Titans game. I just feel that way for both sides, that the officiating is just god awful. And I am more open to the idea that, you know, things like the point spread exist, and, you know, like covering certain numbers and things like that. It's like Titans last night. The Titans were 13.5 point underdogs. They were losing by, I'm just saying, they were losing what was it? 27-13. They were losing by
and they scored
15
points and 15 points in the last 3 minutes. Yeah.
Literally, it was like 767-0. No team had literally come back with that little time left in the history of the NFL. So it was just like, okay.
It's like you try to convince yourself that it's all just a conspiracy theory, but once you start paying attention to the lines and you see how some of these games end, you start thinking to yourself, okay, is it just me now, or it's just becoming more blatant that some of these games are work? Nerdigans, what is your take on just utterly bad football?
Well, the thing that's going on, there's a few things going on. One is there's something going on with the officiating. There needs to be a league-wide audit of the refs, and I think it was Fabiano that said this on Twitter, that one of the coaches, I don't know if this is true or not, but he said on Twitter that one of the coaches was talking to him and saying that the owners, they believe that the owners need to do an audit. Saying that for weeks. The other thing is that, and this has been going on for a long time, is that teams, and this is the general manager's fault on this one, are not investing in O-line, which is a huge problem. Andrew Luck is and Russell Wilson, and I think Cam Newton too, are the best examples of this. Hell, even Carolina still doesn't have a good O-line. No quarterback can survive behind Carolina's O-line. It is that bad. You are not going to get anything out of any quarterback, or they were lucky to get anything out of Christian McCaffrey behind that O-line. It is that bad. Mm-hmm. Oh God, it's horrible. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead real quick.
Well, if you look at what he's doing on the Niners, who have actually a good O-line, look at Brock Purdy. He's going nuts. No, McCaffrey's going nuts. Kittle's going nuts. You got the wide receivers going because you have a solid O-line. Cowboys, it's the same thing. You got a solid O-line over there, and Dak's able to go off. You got the wide receivers able to go. You got the running backs able to go. And I don't know what it is with some of these general managers that they're just not focusing on. They're obviously you're going to need some defense for sure, but they're not focusing on getting that foundation set on the offense with an offensive line. And it's just baffles me. Don't understand it.
A couple of things here. One, hey, Rick, don't say anything. Two, the other thing that I've noticed here is that this is a problem that's not going to get any better anytime soon, because I'm not sure you guys pay attention to college football at the moment, but it's a mess on the collegiate level right now because of the whole transfer portal and the whole the NIL or whatever it is, where players are getting paid money. People are just jumping around to one school to another to get paid. They have absolutely no committal to playing football, going to the right program, developing as a player. They just want to get played. So now what's going to happen is over the course of the next few years, you're going to get a lot of so-so hyped up players go to the NFL who aren't ready to be in the NFL, and they're not getting the proper training while they're actually in the NFL to become better players. So the quality of the game is only going to get worse. It's like with the rate that college is going right now, this is the farm system for the NFL. It's going to start looking like the XFL here in a couple of years, and that's going to be bad for everyone. So this problem isn't getting any better anytime soon. But any final thoughts on this topic here before we move on to our next story?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen, especially on the NFL side, if this is the case, is they're going to have like a really good coaching system to prepare for it. They have to. If they don't have a good coaching system in place, a solid one in place to take care of it, then the NFL is completely screwed. And I think only a few teams might be prepared for it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough. It doesn't get much better. You can see the players who the NFL wants to push as the stars, but they're starting to crack at the seams too. And if that's the case, then yeah, we're all going to be in a rough ride here for the next few years. And that's only if the games are in fact fixed, like we all believe that they are to begin with. So.
But says one other thing too, real quick, is that I'm hoping that this year, because people are trying to hype up Dak as an MVP, I hope after this game people start hyping up Tyreek Hill as the MVP. He deserves it more than anyone else does.
But they think that the NFL, I mean, the MVP has to go to a quarterback now. They don't even consider any other position players for the MVP, because the quarterback is the one that the markets everything. So we have to pay them $70 million a year. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Ohtani. That's not. That's another conversation. Yeah, I can go on another the 30-minute rant on that whole thing with the Dodgers. Maybe we'll talk about it next week, but that's an absolute joke in and of itself too. So yeah, sports is great and everything's going great. So,
But you know what's funny? Real quick, you know the irony about all of this, and Tom Brady said this a few weeks ago that the NFL, the coaching is not nearly as good as it was, and the players are suffering because of it. It's like it's gonna be, and that's what we're gonna see if they don't sort of reinforce the sort of coaching, because that's the only way the players are going to get better is that they're coached hard and they're open to it. And a lot of these college players seem to be crybabies, especially Caleb Williams.
Literally crying in the stands.
But Tom Brady took less money. He took 25 million a year when he could have asked for like 40. And so that's the way forward for all these star quarterbacks. You're not going to be on a competitive team if you want to take $50 million a year.
I think even Jason Whitlock brought this up a couple nights ago. It's like if Patrick Mahomes truly wants to be the next Tom Brady, then he's going to have to do what Brady did, which is take less money than he could have been given to more position players so they can actually build a proper team around them, rather than have these guys that are trying to go for like $60 million a year because they want to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. It's like, well, if you want to win, or you're going to get the money, because you're going to get the money regardless. It's not like he's going to go poor by taking like $20 or $30 million less than he's taking every single year. So I mean, it is
also, if he wants to be more like Tom Brady, he's got to do one very important thing, and that's cheat.
Well, his relationship with the refs is already deteriorating, so I don't know how much that will get. So
I'm sorry, I am not a Tom Brady fan.
And not a lot of people
after
are.
I caught he cheated, I lost all respect for him.
Yeah, I know. And Tom Brady's just a douche who kisses his own kid on the mouth. I don't know. He's weird. Anyway, Alex Jones is back. He is back on Twitter after several years of being banned. So if you remember several years ago, what happened is that the whole thing with Sandy Hook happened. And keep in mind, the whole thing going back with Sandy Hook, and I know this is kind of like a weird thing because if you hear the media report it, they act like Alex Jones somehow killed those kids. But when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, Alex Jones inferred that, you know, the kids or the families involved were crisis actors. They sued him as a result, and it ended up blowing into this thing where they made Alex Jones the focus of the Sandy Hook shooting, and then they said that he had to pay like something like several billion, some astronomical number that Alex Jones would never be able to pay in his entire life, even if he actually had that money. And it was all just basically a public witch hunt to bring down Alex Jones. They banned him on social media so that he couldn't defend himself during the trial. They wanted to literally just wipe him off the face of the earth, and they did essentially for a number of years here. He's not on YouTube. He's not on a lot of these other platforms that just completely unpersoned him off of social media. Well, when Elon Musk took over Twitter a couple of years ago, the question was asked, are you going to bring Alex Jones back? Initially, he said no because of the whole Sandy Hook situation, that he didn't want Alex Jones to be associated with Twitter because of Sandy Hook. So even though Elon Musk took over, he still didn't have Alex Jones back. Well, here we are a year and so later, and Alex Jones has now officially been let back on Twitter. His account was reinstated over the weekend. There's like this big Twitter Spaces debate that happened this weekend with like Alex Jones, the Tate brothers, Vivek, the guy who's running for president for the Republicans, and Elon Musk. So yeah, him too. So there was this big a conversation about censorship and whatnot. I guess I'll play a little bit of the thing here so kind of get the context of what exactly they were speaking of. But this is an excerpt of the debate specifically about the censorship part of things when Alex Jones has finally now been let back on Twitter and his account's been reinstated. So I just want to.
We had your brother on earlier. Tristan come on earlier. Your thoughts on Alex Jones being back on X?
I'd rather hear his thoughts on Elon Musk being the biggest maverick of the last 500 years. I'm not kissing ass here, Elon. You've got big ones, man, on every front.
Of course you
are literally overturning the entire power structure. I was just going to say this once Andrew get in, but I just want to say this while you're here. I mean, you are literally changing the entire paradigm. And you've definitely got the system scared. And so everybody needs to support X. Everybody needs to support the sponsors on X. I personally am doing all my Christmas shopping this year with all the great gadgets and stuff that are on X. But I'm going to shut up now. But I would imagine instead of talking about Alex Jones, I'd like to hear Andrew Tate talk about or ask questions to Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, Alex is certainly a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. And I'm extremely happy he's back. I've celebrated that publicly, but Alex nailed it. Elon is taking the biggest risk here. It takes unlimited energy to propagate lies. You have to continually repeat them, and you have
I just want to point this out here. This is not AI audio or what's like. I know the way it is presented here, it sounds like it's AI, but no, this is a real conversation that's happening right now. So just for a note,
to continue to try and falsify information and hide the truth to keep lies afloat. And this simple purchase, you call it simple, the purchase of a simple website has literally cracked the matrix in real time, and it becomes extremely difficult now to run the psyops they were previously running and enslave the populace, which is their primary goal. So Elon is a hero, absolutely. And the risks you are taking, Elon, I don't think many people at home actually understand the gravity of the risks you are taking, because your ability to speak freely is heavily leveraged against your insignificance. You're only allowed to speak if nobody listens to you. And if you get big and people start listening, they're going to come at you hard. And I think, I'm not completely versed, but from what I understand, Elon's already suffering the lawfare tactics, which they're going to do. They're going to keep pulling out the hat to try and slow him down or stop his...
Andrew, let me interrupt before I forget. I don't give him any attention. The same law firm that came after me with these PR firms, there is a 3-letter agency running this. Not all of them, but let's just say it starts with a C and it ends with an A. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's liberal NGOs which will sponsor agents of the Matrix. They'll sponsor females to end up in a house party and then lie to try and put you in a Romanian jail cell and get you sitting with the cockroaches in a dungeon. And it's a very scary world where you get to a point where you're only time.
Romania, huh? That sounds very specific to a certain situation. We'll wrap this up here.
Trying to tell the truth, and they're going to punish you for that using endless lawfare. And this battle has only just begun. But the Matrix has truly cracked now, and it's going to be extremely hard to lie to us like they did before with X, the way it currently is. And I think it came at exactly the right time. I almost, without trying to sound pessimistic, there was a point where I kind of felt like I was losing hope. You couldn't tell the truth about anything. Everything was a lie. Everything from head to toe was a lie. And they're trying to lock us all back in our houses again. And we can finally talk about it. It's truly heroic. And Elon's taking massive risk, and the respect I have for him for doing that is enormous.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what happened. I'm going to shut up because I want to hear from Elon, but this is so historic. Elon Musk's courage, and it's true, I'm saying, has broken the back of the globalists. They'll never be able to turn this around again unless they have a nuclear war. Elon Musk has broken their back.
So yeah, Elon Musk has single-handedly defeated the globalists in the Matrix by allowing Alex Jones back on Twitter here. So that was a lot of very bold claims that was made there in that 3-minute video. But I guess the takeaway here is that Alex Jones is back, and that Elon Musk is apparently pro Alex Jones again. So, like I said, there's a whole, I think it was like a whole 3-hour conversation between all those guys. I can't play every single excerpt from the thing, but you guys pretty much get the gist of what happened there. So, Rick, I'm gonna actually start this one off of you, with no context here whatsoever. What do you think about Alex Jones finally being allowed to come back to social media after a 4-year absence?
I don't know enough about Alex Jones to really comment, other than I think he's nuts.
What gave you that idea?
Well, I don't know, the way he kind of rants and rambles on more than I do, so that should be a plus, I guess. Anyway, Elon Musk is free to bring back anyone that he wishes to bring on, and Alex Jones is free to spout off whatever nonsense he wishes to spout. If this is what Elon Musk wants to do, there's nothing that anyone can really do to stop him. And I have no interest in following Alex Jones. I have no interest in following Andrew Tate. I really don't know much about these people, but it's Elon Musk's business. It's his company. He's free to do what he wishes with it. So if people want to follow Alex Jones, they can now. Good for them, I guess. I have no interest in what Elon does with X Twitter.
Well, Rob, obviously you made some reactions to some of the comments that was made there by our good buddy Alex Jones. So what is your thoughts on the whole take of Alex Jones being unsuspended after 4 years?
Yeah, this actually takes me back to 2018. I actually was writing for a like a film review site, And I basically came out and said, yeah, of course Alex Jones should be allowed to be on Twitter. Why shouldn't he be? You know, you have all kinds of people who say fucked up shit just to get a reaction who are allowed to be on Twitter, and yet you're literally making an example of this guy. Which is, by the way, if you're against censorship, you should be against them making examples of people like that, where they erase you from every single platform on the internet. And I know that you take people like Alex Jones that are that out there, and you use them as extreme examples to say, hey, we need to curb free speech. And it's like, no, that's exactly the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? So it's like you bring more attention to the person. And so here, 5 years later, you know, it's like, it's a nice symbol. I don't know that it's going to have much of an impact, really. But at least I personally feel somewhat vindicated, just being such a staunch supporter of the First Amendment, of free speech, of free expression, what those things are supposed to mean in the public square that Twitter represented, both now and at the time that he was taken off the platform by whoever, whoever the person who ran Twitter before it was purchased by Musk. So I think that's great. I've never been a big fan of Alex Jones. Like, the guys that I listen to, ROTC, Revenge of the Sis, they've been on InfoWars. They've had Alex Jones on their show. So, I mean, I am definitely familiar with him. I think his 9/11 video was incredibly amazing before, you know, the event happened. And so he has some interesting videos, but I think at the end of the day, he's just, you know, he's out there making content, you know, and he was doing it long before a lot of people were. So I don't take him that seriously. He entertains me at times, like he makes me laugh, but you know, I'm just glad for him for this symbolic victory, because a lot of the shit that what was it, Andrew Tate is saying is just complete garbage and nonsense. Like, every time that guy talks, it's just like, I can't believe anybody takes this guy seriously.
When he sits
like,
here and does his little hands like this, and he talks about the Matrix, and people take him seriously.
Sounds like a horse's ass, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe I just have my
a
radar
con
up.
artist, man. What do you want?
Yeah.
They're all grifting con artists. I've had to listen to grifting con artists for so freaking long. This is what happens. I've talked about it so many times. What happens when you get blackpilled by the protest community? You have to endure this crap. So yeah, you learn a lot about the grifting con artists on both sides. Let's be real. But here's my thing. I'm all pro First Amendment, but I'm anti-violating terms of services and getting away with it. The only reason why I'm okay with Alex Jones coming back on the platform is, one, this is after Elon's taken over. The other thing is community notes, and the fact that you can't make money off of content farming anymore. That is the biggest thing for me, because, as I said, Alex Jones is a grifting con artist. The fact that you've got community notes there where he could get caught lying and his posts he can't make money off of them, fine, good. But if he violates terms of services, I expect him to be treated like every user that is on Twitter. And yes, I am very much annoyed that there are still certain users on Twitter that still are allowed to be on the platform that have
like Al-Qaeda
violated terms of service. It's very annoying. But my thing has been for the longest time that I just want equal Twitter rights. I want terms of services to be enforced equally. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but that's kind of the problem, though. It never is enforced equally. Like I said, for several years, Alex Jones was banned because, he's dangerous and his opinions are dangerous. Meanwhile, we literally have Al-Qaeda on the platform and no one says a word. It's like, it's squiggly lines. No one can actually read that, so we just let it go. And
it
that's
hasn't
kind of
been
where we're
equally. It hasn't been equally done at all.
I have a problem with Elon, because Elon said he was going to do it and he still hasn't done it. Community notes is great, but he still hasn't enforced TOS equally like he promised he would. And that's where I have a problem.
He also was going to do general amnesty, and he hasn't done that yet. I mean,
he hasn't gotten rid of all the bots either. It's gotten worse, and there's more burner accounts too.
I mean, I'm getting followed by a bunch of fucking burner accounts. Not to mention, he was supposed to do this general amnesty, which was going to unban pretty much everybody who got banned in the first place. My original account, was banned simply because I told a fucking joke, a Deadpool joke about Joe Biden. And I still haven't been unbanned. My other account got banned for no reason at all. So, not even a freaking explanation, no email, no nothing. They wouldn't even let me appeal for that one. So, yeah, I'm sorry. When they say that, oh, Alex Jones is bad, good for fucking Alex Jones. The dude spouts a bunch of fucking ridiculousness every fucking day, and people eat it up as gospel. And yes, he may have a couple of things right here. He may have a couple of things right there. But that does not mean that the dude should be tested as reliable. Not one person on Twitter who is or who has a gray, blue, or yellow check next to their name should be taken seriously, because none of them has even been able to identify our fucking government properly. Not to mention, I mean, it's like I've tried getting into the community notes thing because I would be doing it to freaking politicians. I'd be like, I'm sorry, or community notes. The United States is not a fucking democracy. It's a goddamn constitutional republic. But when it comes to Alex Jones and Elon Musk and how he's saying, oh, Elon Musk is the greatest fucking thing since sliced cheese. No, he fucking isn't. As much as I appreciate what he has done, allowing some free speech to come back, sure, he still is censoring smaller people on Twitter or on X.
Up until about a couple of
I
was gonna say real quick, up until about a couple of months again, up to a couple of months ago, my account was shadow banned where you couldn't even search my name on the search to even like find me. So I was telling people, oh, go follow me on Society Movies. It's like, oh, you're not coming up. It's like, oh yeah, there's a search ban on my account. And this was after Elon took over, because I didn't have that beforehand. So yeah, even now they're still like, you know, search banning people and doing things like behind the scenes, even though they want you to believe that no, they fixed all that. It's like, no, it's still happening, because I've seen it happen to quite a few people over time. I think even Dirtigans at one point had like a search ban for some weird reason, like you couldn't even find her account on Twitter up until like a few weeks ago. So I mean, yeah, well, this stuff is still going on.
They're also getting rid of posts that they don't like. And I mean, specifically, I can attest to this because I had a post where I called out Ibrahim Kennedy's Netflix special, and it's like, Netflix, would you allow somebody to be have on your platform somebody that would say, well, black people can't humanize white people, or whatever that was that Ibrahim Kennedy said, but flipped the script.
Of course.
And I said, like the next day, that post is gone. Literally erased in real time. I saw this. And I was checking on somebody who retweeted it, and it's like, we cannot find that post. That post has been erased. It's like, what the actual fuck, Elon? I mean, I'm paying for the freaking blue check, and you're getting rid of my shit? Like, dude, if I could afford to take your ass to court, I would fucking take your ass to court.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not
just
paying
saying
for Twitter.
They need, and they're hard up for money right now, because of the advertising, whatever, you know, the couple advertisers that left
That backfired on them.
And they're gonna, like, they're basically throttling people's regular Twitter premium accounts because they want them to pony up and pay double. They want $22 a month to like not get throttled. And it's just like, okay, this, like, why does this exist if you're like, you're gonna do this shit? You know what I mean? And it's so Twitter's another thing. Like, I spend so much time on it, and yet it's like, this is a giant waste of my time. I could be doing so many other things that would be, interesting or pleasurable, or, and this is just a giant waste of my time.
I thought you derive pleasure from mocking so many people on the Twitter there, Robert. So
I do, but it's not. It doesn't create anything. It doesn't necessarily go anywhere. It's just like a fleeting moment of like, endorphins.
Unfulfilling.
I pissed that person off, and then it's gone.
I do want to point out to Orange Hat, and I posted it in our group chat before. and I've been seeing it a lot more too, that community notes has been going after Joe Biden a lot more lately, and it has been so awesome.
Oh, I love that. I mean,
And I love that
or
they've been going
I
after
tried getting
Omar
into
too.
community
They've
notes.
been going after the politicians a lot more, and it has just been beautiful. I'm telling you, community
Yep.
notes is the best thing to happen to Twitter. That's the only thing Elon has done that has been like the best freaking thing to happen to the platform is community notes.
That is
Well,
a
another thing that
positive.
he needs to do is that he also needs to or have a feedback section, because you can't leave feedback for X or Twitter right now. There's no way to leave feedback, because I'm willing to bet that he would hear a lot of people bitching about it. And it's like, dude, a good business listens to the negative feedback to try to improve their platform. Yes, community notes is good, but I tried getting into community notes. They still won't let me get into community notes. And it's
I'm
like,
still waiting to hear back from them.
yeah, same here. I applied like fucking 6 months ago and they never got back to me.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't trust Elon Musk at all. I've made this comment a couple of times, but I think he's just trying to make people think that he's a free speech warrior, that he's on their side, so that way he can put brain chips in their head. So I think that's kind of like the long con game when we get to that aspect of it. And then look, when it comes to Alex Jones, like he's been more of an entertainer than a prophet, so to speak, over the last several years. People just love seeing him go on crazy wild rants and whatnot and say just completely off the wall like things. And that's really just where it comes down to like Alex Jones. It's like I think there was a time where people were actually like going to him for like news and things of that nature, but I think that time is long past. I think in a lot of ways the like I'm not gonna sit here and say that look, if someone was suing me for $278 kajillion that I wouldn't say that, oh, I'm just an entertainer and nothing I say is real. It's like, yeah, I'd say anything to get out of paying that kind of absurd amount of money too. Like I said, the whole thing about them going after him as if somehow he's the one who took the gun to the kids at Sandy Hook is absolutely ridiculous. Like they made him more the villain of that story than the actual shooter himself, which is absolute BS, especially since he basically shared an opinion about Sandy Hook. Whether you like it or not, that's all it is at the end of the day, is his opinion on the event. And they made him a worldwide villain that got completely nuked off of digital society for a while. But when it comes back to him coming back to the social media sphere, I mean, this is all anyone wants to hear Alex Jones say for the most part, so I'll play this, a little bit of this.
My grief is this is really draconian. This globalist, great reset, new world order takeover is a post-industrial world, cut off the resources, 90% forced depopulation, breaking civilization by design, massive wars, famine. They've already cut off a third of the fertilizer in the last year worldwide. It's estimated that'll kill a couple 100 million people. The lockdowns worldwide, not the virus, the UN admits killed 80-something million extra people in the last 3.5 years. And so when the first world collapses, the third world dies. And then what's left of them floods us. And so the earth is being put into a countdown collapse right now. And so I'm like the fisherman when the tidal wave comes in, and I'm like, oh my God, my wife and children are about to die. And so I'm not really worried about me because I'm a man. I did this. I knew it was coming. I've been proven right. And I'm not happy I was proven right. I wish we could have gotten ahead of this and stopped it. Yeah, we have a lot of credibility now that people see that we were right, so maybe we can stop the next phase of it. But the globalists have gone from testing phase, beta test phase, into full operational now. And they say, read their writings, we are going to have a post-industrial world by 2030. We will have no personal cars by 2030. You will be eating bugs by 2030. And we will start the depopulation of 90% of the people by 2045. That is the official WF, official UN, official Club of Rome plan.
What do you mean the depopulation?
They want to bring the world population down to 500 million.
But I thought we were opposed to genocide. No or no? I guess we're not.
Well, we're told now, don't have children, it's bad for the earth. And we're told all this, and Elon Musk is right and is a hero for pointing out all the actuaries show, if you don't have 2.1 children, a man and a woman, people go, well, a man and a woman can have 2.1. It's in the aggregate, folks, out of billions. If a country doesn't have 2.1, 2.2 replacement rate, then you don't have people to take care of the old folks, society collapses. And so Japan's 1.3, Italy's 1.3, they're done as cultures. America, without immigrant influx, is about 1.6. That's not viable. And I'm not just talking about white people only here, but white people are 7% of the world population, maybe 8%. And so I would be sad if the last of the Eskimos were dying. I mean, I'm sad that the Japanese, within 100 years, there might be 20 million of them.
Well, it's good to know that Alex Jones really cares about the Inuit. You know, that's a plus on his part.
If
Someone has to care
if you
about
ha-
the Eskimos.
if you haven't
Why does this
seen it,
person? Why does this person care? Why do people care about this person? The only thing that he needs to do now is just to declare that we're going all Soylent Green. I mean, that's really where he's at.
well, yeah, I mean that really is an extension of the bug. You know, you'll eat bugs, you'll own nothing and like it. But
Mhm.
and I haven't seen Soylent Green. It's actually on my list right now to watch. But look, if you have not seen it, watch the Alex Jones Piers Morgan interview from when he went on. I don't remember if it was CNN or what channel it was, but that one's pretty funny where he's screaming at Piers Morgan that he's never giving up his guns. So
I think that might have been
1776 will have the
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah,
I think that was
yeah.
on CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Alex Jones is back. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a whole bunch of people making articles about how this is dangerous and that people are going to die because they're being allowed to listen to Alex Jones again. And we'll go through this whole cycle again because it's election year and everything is the worst thing that's ever happened. Now vote for us or else everyone's going to die. Like we all know the spiel. We went through this for the last 2 election cycles. We're just going to go through it again. So let's just go ahead and get it over with at this point. Any final thoughts on this one before we move on to our next topic?
Next.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about some movies because apparently Barbie's going to sweep the Oscars. This is going to happen. There's absolutely nothing that you guys can do to stop it. Barbie is the best movie that ever came out in this year, in the last several years to come out in this year. Golden Globe nominations came out. As we know, this is the precursor to a lot of the Academy Awards. And of course, Barbie was the film that got the most nominations out of everything. You see here is nominated for Best Picture, Musical, and Comedy, Best Director, obviously, talking about the screenplay, actor, actresses, like absolutely just sweeping every single category. It looks like that this is the film that Hollywood is latching on to the most. Now there is still a push out there for Poor Things, which we'll talk about here in a while, but it seems like the mainstream opinion is that they all want to go all in on Barbie. And we reviewed Barbie. We talked about Barbie earlier in the year. The only reason why people love Barbie or they claim to love Barbie because it has a very, very anti-male message in the movie, and it has a very, very pro-feminist. I'm not talking about the first wave or the second wave that people pretend like was actually good. It's a very, very let's just say can I even say that here on this show?
Misandrist would be a good word.
No, I was going with something far worse than that, but I'll save it up here. It's a very see you next Tuesday type of lady film. So if you're one of those, and you're really gonna love, like if you somehow like if America, what's the name, America Ferrera, her speech and that film like touched you as a woman, you're probably the type of person who I'm talking about here. But like I said, this is Hollywood, and this is where we're at now, so it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that they absolutely love this garbage. So the question is this going to be this year's Everything Everywhere All at Once? Is this film going to absolutely dominate the Academy Award season? It looks like we're heading that way. Rob, I'll start this one off of you. What is your thoughts on Barbie? Looks like it's going to dominate award season.
Yeah, I don't think so. The Golden Globes tend to, favor more popular fare, as how I'll put it. You see a lot more things that don't necessarily show up down the line in, whatever, BAFTA, the Academy Awards, the PGA. I don't know. Rick will rattle them off here, but all the precursors to the Academy Awards, I don't necessarily think Barbie's going to be very strong in. I think it's going to have production design and costume and art direction and all that stuff. I think it will definitely get nominations for. But the idea that Margot Robbie is going to get nominated for Best Actress in an incredibly loaded year, or that Ryan Gosling has probably the best chance at Best Supporting Actor. But I think that's probably it. Hollywood loves money. It loves to celebrate the movies that made it a lot of money. And so I think that Barbie will get a lot of nominations. I don't think it's necessarily going to do very well in the acting, director, best picture categories. kind of think Oppenheimer has had just such a great year. Even if I'm pulling for Killers of the Flower Moon, it's just like I think Oppenheimer's year. It is more serious categories. The ones basically people care about. But look, and Barbie probably isn't going to even be on my worst movies of the year list. I hated it. I absolutely fucking hated it. But in turn, I just take it as being a silly movie. I don't even take it that seriously in terms of it being a sexist movie, which you can certainly see it that way. But to me, I'm so ready for it to be over and out of the way because it like grates on my nerves. It just existing and being successful. So, but yeah, no, I don't necessarily think this is necessarily a precursor to doing very well at the Academy Awards.
I guess I'll shoot this one over to Rick because I think Rob because of a good point. You have so many movies that came out this year that are actually legitimately good films, such as Killers of the Flower Moon, such as Oppenheimer. It would be a very, very bad look for Hollywood as an industry if they were to somehow supersede those films just so they can pat themselves on the back for tackling the patriarchy and giving Barbie a whole bunch of awards. Because if we're comparing Barbie to those two films, it's not even remotely close. And you would have to be extremely disingenuous or just an outright lying prick to even make the assumption that those films are even in the same stratosphere as far as categories. Like that one, you're literally just going on the message over the actual quality of the films. But what do you think here, Rick, about Barbie's chances Oscar season?
I don't think it's going to win Best Picture right off the bat. I don't think it's a prohibitive front runner. We have no prohibitive front runner this year. Will it get nominated? More than likely, unfortunately, it will. I certainly can see it in the technical categories, production design, costume design, because I saw the movie this week, and yes, they are well crafted. But let's look at some other things. First, Margot Robbie might have gotten nominated here, but I don't. But she has been pretty much forgotten by a lot of other award shows, critic shows. It really it's kind of gone down to was it Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone. They're the ones who are basically fighting it out. Then with Gosling, I know a lot of people said that he already had it in the bag. It's all over. Might as well just engrave his name on it. But look who's been holding steady. Robert Downey Jr. has been holding steady. That kid from was it May, December, and The Holdovers. They're
Charlie
both
Melton.
now.
Yeah.
Charlie Melton. Thank you. They're both starting to make inroads where they're seriously challenging Gosling's inevitable win. The only way that I'm going to be blunt. Barbie could still win Best Picture, and is quite simple because they go by preferred ballot, not by actual number of votes that it gets. So it could be a wild, but it would be a wild case where
Like I said,
it could
I'm just trying to envision a reality, and I can see it where somehow Greta Gerwig wins Best Director over Martin Scorsese and Christopher Nolan in the same year.
No, I don't think she'll even be nominated.
There's no way she's not going to be nominated.
No, it could be. There, you have other. I think the director of Past Lives
Here's the thing.
is female, so she could be that female.
And it's other directors, by the way. It's other directors that nominate 5 directors for the Academy Awards. Just like it's actors. This is why Oscars So White was so fucking dumb. The actors nominate other actors. That's that's who's voting for these people. And so I agree. Greta Gerwig has an outside chance, but this year is so incredibly loaded with choices. I mean, to me, Martin Scorsese and Christopher Nolan are shoo-ins in that category to the point where it's I'm excited for Ferrari, but I mean, even Michael Mann is going to have a really hard time getting in there. So, I mean, I'm really interested to see what it ends up being. But Greta Gerwig doesn't belong in this conversation. I know that her movie made a lot of money, and and Hollywood loves that, but she really doesn't even belong in this.
Look, there are going to be 10 pictures nominated, and you're going to likely pick 5 of the directors from those 10 pictures. Uh, um, Scorsese and Nolan are, like Rob said, pretty much locks. Yorthos Lanthimos is looks like a strong contender to be nominated. Was it the director of The Holdovers? Andrew Payne, is that Andrew Payne? I'm trying to remember
Alexander
his-
Payne.
Alexander Payne. He looks like an outside chance to get nominated, and now there are also rumblings for the director of Past Lives, who I believe is a woman. I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name at the moment.
Yes,
So,
only a woman would make that movie. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
well, I haven't seen it. I have it on my DVD player right now. It being, yes, she could get nominated, but I don't see it. The Golden Globes are a whole different beast because they nominate all sorts. I mean, this is the same group that nominated The Tourist for best comedy. All right, so no one takes the Golden Globes seriously except the people who follow these award shows
All
incessantly.
I'm gonna say is this: we just saw Jamie Lee Curtis win an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, even though she was
That was a
barely in the
lifetime.
movie.
That was a kind of a lifetime achievement win.
So we've
So
already
she-
seen them go
no.
completely half retard in the recent future, so
No,
that
no,
wouldn't
no, no,
surprise
no,
me
no,
at
no,
all.
no. You're making a different comparison here. Jamie Lee Curtis was a de facto lifetime achievement award win.
No,
Now,
nobody thought that at the time. She had no
no, I
shot. She
did.
shouldn't have won.
I did. I thought she was a de facto lifetime achievement award, and she's been very popular. And this was her first nomination. She's the daughter of 2 previous nominees, so she had a lot of things
Rick,
going
we still
for her.
have the stream up where we all watched the awards while it happens.
It was a surprise. I didn't expect her to win. I expected the Colin from the Banshees of Inisherin to win, but it's not. It wasn't
completely half retard.
It wasn't. It wasn't like, oh, this is completely implausible that she could not win. But again, I think people already think that Barbie's going to win or like sweep the Oscars. No, one group nominating Barbie for a lot of awards is not mean that it's already the prohibitive frontrunner. We have no prohibitive frontrunner this year. Oppenheimer is probably the closest to the prohibitive frontrunner, but Killers of the Flower
Well, I mean,
Moon
if you're
did
talking
come
about
in.
actually good movies, it should be the front runner. But then we have to also consider that this is the lens through Hollywood. And they don't see movies the same way that we do.
People who follow these award shows are a little too obsessed with Barbie. Remember, this is a group said that America Ferrera was a snub, that not nominating her was a disaster. Like, how could she? I saw the movie, and it was a 3-minute diatribe where she starts out with, it's literally impossible to be a woman. No, it's not literally impossible to be a woman. And as I commented on X Twitter, yeah, Golda Meir and Margaret Thatcher were not going to put up with Gloria's nonsense. They probably would have slapped her upside the head and said, "You know what? Get to work. Stop whining."
Barbara
people even
Stanwyck
tried
would
to call
slap
that
her
a
upside the head.
What?
Some people tried to call that a snub, and I was like, if you actually saw that, heard that whole spiel, and thought that deserved an Oscar, you need to be slapped twice.
That was not a performance. That's the way America Ferrera always talks. That's the way she speaks. I mean, that's not an actual performance.
And the whole speech is like literally just like whiny liberal white woman talk. Like that's all it was.
3 whole
Victim
minutes of it.
name, males are bad. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. You fucking suck. That's basically what it was.
Look at what we have to do to ourselves just to oppress men. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, 3 whole minutes of it. It was just unbelievably bad. But no, I mean, really, I don't see her being nominated. There are too many other, like Rob saying that actress was stacked. Supporting actress is also getting stacked. We have a likely nominee from The Color Purple. We have a likely nominee from The Holdover. Emily Blunt is still very much in the game. That's already 3 slots. Who's going to fill in the other 2? America Ferrera is not going to.
Real quick here. Look, Paulie jumping in says that Leave the World Behind was absolute shite. If you want to jump in here for a second, we haven't talked about that yet, but that's what we're going to close this episode on, talking about that movie, because there's a lot of moving parts about that film we'll get to here in a second. But I'll let Nerdigans wrap this up with her thoughts.
Well, the thing is that really
I haven't
gets
even
me, and I've
given
seen a lot of people talk about this,
That's why
is
we're wrapping it up.
this past year we've had we've had two incredible anime movies come out. We had Suzume and How Do You Live, which is the Studio Ghibli film. And this, obviously, this is the film that Miyazaki came out of retirement for. It's really frustrating because you have really beautiful movies and powerful movies like this that come out, and the only thing that they can get any awards for now is for Best Animated Film. When back in the 90s, you saw films like Beauty and the Beast get not only just nominated, but win Best Picture. It's just a freaking shame. I just don't get it anymore. It's weird.
Well, Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Film. It did not win. It lost to The Silence of the Lambs. Just
Oh, yeah,
for
that's right. I'm
correction.
sorry.
I will say that the one thing about The Boy and the Heron, it's actually giving Across the Spider-Verse serious competition, and it's a surprise that that movie's giving competition to literally one of the greatest films made in the history of cinema. But who knows? That might be an upset. That would be an upset that I would love to see. The Boy and the Heron win over Across the Spider-Verse.
I'm gonna be straight with you, and I have a review coming just real quick before I go to Orange. I saw that movie this weekend. I was not impressed at all. That's my personal opinion, but I got a review coming out on that Unbounding later this week.
I haven't seen
ahead,
it.
Orange.
Can't comment on it. I know it's been giving a threat. Sorry, Orange.
Thoughts on the Golden Globes, the Oscars, or whatever. What? Or has Godzilla been given any nominations?
That's another one too, is Godzilla.
Because
That
I do
movie's
believe that they
torn
should
up.
be given, or I think it should be, honestly, a clean sweep with Godzilla.
It is in the. I'm sorry, Orange. It's in the short list for visual effects.
Then it should automatically get visual effects, because if a movie with less than $15 million budget can produce special effects that clean, it should that should be an automatic.
I do love the fact that the director came out and said, "Oh, 15 million? No, we made this movie for way less than that." So
yeah, and
It doesn't surprise me either.
But also, when it comes to these awards, all it really is a fucking circle jerk of Hollywood, basically saying, "Oh, we deserve this because we are special. We don't give a fuck what the people think." And that's why, personally, I don't watch the Oscars. Personally, I watch the Raven Awards from my buddy OMB Reviews. He actually does that in a protest of the Oscars. Does a pretty good job with it too. Fun categories and whatnot. But yeah, when it comes to the Oscars, it's like, you guys, or if freaking Parasite, which was a complete non-English speaking film, can win, I think it was Best Picture? Or something
Yes,
like
it was
that?
the first foreign language film to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Well, then why can't Godzilla -1 get that? I mean, honestly,
people enjoyed
everybody's-
it.
Come on. You come on.
I mean, yeah, and that's what's got Hollywood scared. It's because people are enjoying a foreign film more than they're enjoying anything that they did. I'm sorry, Barbie doesn't deserve shit. Barbie was nothing but a misandrous sweat dream, and the only reason why it won $1 billion was because a bunch of fucking gullible pieces of shit actually went to see it because they wanted the nostalgia of the toys they played with as kids. I'm sorry if that
they're
upsets
called
those
white
people.
women.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that fucking upsets them. And yes, I just insulted friends on here, people who I have collaborated with. You all fucking fell for it. You knew what it was going to be fucking about, and you fucking went to see it anyway because, oh, I wanted to see something from my childhood. No, it wasn't the same shit from your fucking childhood. I'm sorry that you actually were dumb enough to believe that shit, but you know what? You fucking fell for it. The movie won $1 billion. I'm hoping it's going to be a fluke, and I honestly think that Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, I haven't seen that yet, but I heard it's actually pretty good. The man does some good shit. He should actually get close to a clean sweep himself at the Oscars.
Well,
so between any of the movies, it's Godzilla and Oppenheimer. So Goppenheimer or whatever.
Well, so let me wrap this one up here. Like I said, I think we all agree that Barbie does not deserve to be the most nominated movie of the year, but it's not what we believe they're going to do, it's whether Hollywood is actually going to do it or not. And like I said, my expectations of Hollywood are very, very low. So like I said, I do expect them to get nominations. Now, whether they'll actually win, whether they'll actually get director and screenplay and all that, whether they go that far with it is to be seen, but one way or another it would not surprise me at all if that is the case. So that's where
I'd be
we're at.
surprised if Barbie were the Irishman of the year, where it gets the most nominations and still loses every category.
Well, let me just say real quick, they've given the best screenplay to some atrocious movies in the last decade. Atrocious movies. So
yeah,
I will not be surprised if it gets nominated for, I think it's best original screenplay, and win, just because they've given that to some absolute pieces of shit. So I won't be surprised.
Well, I don't think you were
other
a
than
fan
that, I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I think you weren't a fan of the Holdovers, but that one is probably going to give it a very strong petition.
No, I would recommend everybody to go see The Holdovers. I think it's a very good movie. It's a very good holiday movie. I just think people are overrating it. It's like it's a good movie. I wanted it to be better than it was, but yes, I would recommend it people to go see it.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
my bad.
Let's go ahead and jump in. Our good buddy joining us on the show once again. Our good buddy Paulie the Latino Slant is joining us here once again on the show. How you doing, Paulie?
What's going on?
Yeah, I caught you on an impromptu night here because
Yeah.
here we're literally about to go over to our closer, which was me talking about this film here, Leave the World Behind, and I noticed your comment about it. So before we really get into it here, I guess we should do somewhat of a review and then talk about the story behind it itself. So I actually just watched this film on Sunday night. I did a review for Bounding, which I'm pretty sure will be up on the YouTube channel for the next day or so, but I put out a review. I saw the movie, and Rob, did you get a chance to see this one, or is it just me and Paul here?
Yeah, I just watched it today before the show.
Okay, so there's at least 3 people here who have seen this movie, so I guess we can put the 3 people here on the top here.
I can't wait to hear Rob.
So we're talking about a film here with it has Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, whatever his name is, Ethan Hawke, and Kevin Bacon has a cameo in this film. The whole setup here is that there's this family in the Northeast, like near New York, New Jersey. They go on a vacation, and all of a sudden things just start going haywire. Oil tankers are crashing into the beach. The internet doesn't work. Planes are falling out of the sky. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. Throughout the course of the movie, you figure out that, oh, maybe it's a terrorist attack. Oh, maybe it's a cyber attack. Maybe it's just the government who wants to kill a bunch of people. Who really knows? And it's a film that really has all of its eggs in the mystery basket. Now, of course, when you do that, the movie's only going to be as good as the reveal to what the mystery is. So it keeps you stringing along for nearly 2.5 hours so you figure out exactly what's happening in the film. And then it doesn't actually give you an ending. It doesn't give you a genuine ending to what's happening here. It all kind of ends on a running gag in the film about the TV show Friends. And that's how this whole thing is. This is from the same writer and director who's responsible for Mr. Robot on USA. So if you know about Mr. Robot, you like that show, this is the guy that's in charge of this film. I thought that leading up, the first half of the film I actually thought was pretty good because like I thought it was building up to something. And like I said, when you're building up to something and you have the attention of the audience, then you have to really drive it home to make people think that, you know, the time that they invested into this film was actually worth it. And I think they completely dropped the ball towards the second half of this movie. So before we get into kind of the more political aspects of it behind the scenes, because there's the story that I didn't know as I was watching this movie, as I reviewed it, but I just want to go over to you guys here first, and I'll start with Paulie. What is your thoughts? Obviously you clearly didn't like the movie, so what specifically about the film did you not like?
Yeah, I think this is the first time that me and my girlfriend we stopped the film, and then the next day we picked it up and we said we're gonna hate watch it, aren't we? Yeah, we're gonna hate watch it. That is the first time we've ever done that. In you know, we're
yeah. I literally saw it on like a commercial for like a football game, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. That's something that I can review. And then I just watched it, and that was basically my whole entry for the film. So
yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a terrible film. First of all,
mm-hmm.
I didn't like.
So it didn't get you at any point of the film.
No, there was some ideas. Mahershala and Kevin Bacon. I was, especially Kevin Bacon's, 5 minutes was like the best 5 minutes. It's kind of interesting, but even then, everything has been done before. I didn't like any of these people. They're all assholes. They're terrible with each other. The kids are terrible. Sorry for cursing. The kids are terrible. Yeah. I mean, we didn't understand we were watching. Very pretentious, incredibly pretentious, man. It's just like it was grating. It was grating,
and there's probably a reason for it.
I think what we had come up with was that here were these friends, actors, and then maybe hanging out with the Obamas, I don't know what, during the lockdown. Hey, there's that idea. Let's put some zany ideas together and film this. Because Ethan Hawke, he did a documentary on Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. I don't know if anyone got to see that last year.
Oh yeah, on HBO. I heard it's excellent. Yeah,
it is excellent. But you could see too, kind of like his real, like kind of like quirkiness, revolving around being quarantined, because he got all these actors to Zoom their performances, being the character. So I'm like, man, these guys were locked up too long, yo.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I got. That's those are my first thoughts there.
Yeah, Rob, what was kind of your take on, like I said, the mystery and the characters here? Because there's a couple of characters that I really didn't like, and it's going to play into the second part of our story here. But obviously, you have like Julia Roberts is in the movie, and she's kind of like literally her like first line of good dialogue is talking about how much she just hates people, and that's kind of how we're introduced to her, like as a character. So it's like, okay, she's going to be like one of those, and you think that, well, maybe as things kind of like go completely off the rails, she kind of redeems herself a little bit. Not really, not necessarily throughout the course of the film, and then. The ending to me killed this a lot, but I just want to kind of get your general thoughts on the film too before we get a little more in depth into this.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I would call a Twilight Zone movie, and what I mean by that is it's kind of like a genre story, told in relatively one location, and these are almost always best at 90 minutes or less. Okay, meaning they're tightly controlled. They have a vision. They execute step by step to make it an engaging experience for the viewer. And there are multiple movies like this that have come out this year. Even I just watched Nefarious, which I know you a lot. It's kind of like that, where you're dealing with the situation, the tension evolves, and hopefully there's a rewarding payoff. I'm trying to the standoff at Sparrow Creek deals with this subject matter of like a a government coup happening or something. You know what I mean? So like the whole, like I thought it was an interesting setup. I really don't think they took it anywhere though. It was just a really elongated 2.5 hour short story, that you could have easily made an 80 to 90 movie, and that way the tension actually has some kind of payoff. So I mean, I've seen this work on multiple occasions. This movie was just utterly flat, utterly just personality free. You're kind of presenting these people. Can you trust them? But the amount of time that it takes to play out and for information to be revealed, it really comes up short. So I think the setup was kind of interesting or whatever, but you're dealing with insufferable characters. There's really no reason for you to care about them. And then you have that really dumb, idiotic dialogue by the Mahershala Ali's daughter, about not trusting white people, and it's just like, I mean,
can we all agree, just real quick? Can we all agree she was the worst character in this film? Because I felt like she was like the absolute worst.
Yeah, her thing with Ethan Hawke wanting to fuck her, it was just like,
I was like,
yeah, I was like, where did that even come from?
But there was a lot of that.
Hold on, he's not that guy, but he would. We're like, what?
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah,
Like,
he's
first of all, like,
literally not that
you're
guy.
the one who brought it up. Like,
A
he
scene
was like, what
before,
the-
like the scene before, like there's an earnest scene they have together, Ethan Hawke
Mhm.
and the girl, right? And then she even brings up that to him, and he's like, what are you talking about? You know? But they did a lot of that, a lot of shit. They just like, wait, what did they just say? What did they just do? I would say Julia Roberts is probably worse than her, dude.
Yeah, she's not great.
She
either.
was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated her.
Yeah. As much
And
as she
I'm-
hated
this-
people in the movie. Yeah.
I mean, and this is me talking, right? Well, it just
Mhm.
even her. Then there's that really weird scene where she's getting drunk with Mahershala, and then she starts dancing.
Yeah. And they're dancing to like 90s R&B for some weird reason, and it's just so completely out of place.
And then so they got this really nice R&B song, and she starts freaking like being like white liberal girl at college. I'm gonna do my expressive
Yeah.
weirdo moves.
And then it's like they start doing like this weird thing where they're gonna like tease like them hooking up like in the middle of the film. It's like your husband's like literally outside. It's like all it takes is one little dance, and all of a sudden you're ready to throw it all away. It's like that's all it takes. It's like, oh yeah, we're drunk. It's like you have like one glass of wine. Like
Absolutely.
So
and you get the impression that Ethan Hawke's character is very much a like weak, spineless kind of like he lets Julia Roberts kind of boss him around. kind of marriage. So like all of this was just like, okay, so what are we really saying about these characters? They're willing to flirt with cheating on their spouses. Like, I mean, I don't know.
This is why the lack of story hurt this film, because none of these characters were particularly likable. I think Ethan Hawke's character was probably the least annoying out of all of them, in all honesty. But when you have a group of
Kevin Bacon was great.
I mean, Kevin Bacon was great, but I'm talking about like kind of
Right.
the core group of characters.
Sure.
He didn't come out
Sure.
like towards the end, but
Right.
like when you have a group of characters like this who are this unlikable, then something has to happen with these characters to kind of redeem them or move their character in a direction where the audiences can actually be receptive to them. Because if you're just giving us these characters wholesale, like there's nothing to like about these people whatsoever, and they didn't do any kind of redemption arc for anyone here. Like I said, the Ali's daughter who was in the film, like she's just off-putting, just almost immediately, just like off-putting that the entire film. She's getting into it with the kids and the mother and the father, and there's never really a reason why she's like this distant with like people. It's like I know there was some kind of loose storyline about, well, her mother is probably somewhere in the plane and it may have crashed, it may not have crashed, but that didn't go anywhere. So it's just like she's just an awful person. Like that's only takeaway that I can have for this film. Guess what you given me here is that she's just a terrible person who has a very distrust of white people for some weird reason, because that came into it. And it's like you're introducing a lot of things that you think, okay, maybe this is going to come back around towards the end, so there's going to be some kind of a payoff. It's not just like a throwaway line that amounts to nothing later on in the film. It's like they don't tie in any of these loose ends that they threw out there. It's like the whole thing about, hey, maybe it's a terrorist attack, maybe it's a cyber attack. It's like, hey, maybe there's something going on with like the Tesla cars, maybe the government's like, you threw all these things out there. You're thinking, okay, what's the red herring? What's the real story? And then you get there, you get to the ending, and then abruptly ends. And it's like, I just felt like I just wasted 2.5 hours of my time when this is all said and done here. And that was kind of my problem with the
Complete
film.
waste.
Well, I think.
Rob, what did you think of the director's camera work?
I mean, I didn't think much of it. You're kind of in. I thought the lighting was okay. I thought some of the scenes were lit well inside, and
it looked great.
It's a nice house to shoot in. But I wanted to say real quick that I think Julia Roberts and the daughter, the black daughter or whatever, are supposed to mirror each other in some way, because they say that line to each other about like basically like not everything that you're perceiving is true. And she basically tries to turn that back on Julia Roberts, and it's like, no, you're the one projecting all this weird shit about this family that's, albeit they're in your house, like they're renting this house at like on vacation or whatever, but like you're the one that's projecting all this shit. And so they both sort of like, are suspicious of everybody in the house. And I mean, but it didn't go anywhere past that. It's just sort of people are distrustful of each other while you're figuring out what's going on with the whole, like, why is the cell tower down? Why is the fucking oil tanker crashing into people? So
There's one point. So I guess we can kind of get into the second part of the story. Now, I didn't know about this until after I had already saw the movie, so I had no context of like the Obama's involvement in this whole thing. But I did make a note during watching this film that there's a lot of weird dialogue and a lot of weird plot points that just kind of seem completely out of place. Like in this movie, like I said, talk about the scene with the daughter and Ethan Hawke's character where she's asking him, "Is he the type of guy who fucks his students?" And she was like he was like, "What the hell did that question like even come from?" Like it made no sense like at all. And then there's like the dialogue where like she's talking to him and she's like, well, when the world calls apart, the people we really can't trust are like white people, and just came completely out of nowhere with the context of the film. Keep in mind, she had been with the family for like a considerable amount of time before making that context as well. There's this whole thing. There's literally this whole scene where like Tesla cars are crashing into each other, and you think that in the context of the movie is kind of furthering the part that this is some kind of like cyber attack, or it's like this is hackers that are doing these things, but apparently that was more just a general shot at Tesla than it had to do with anything revolving like the film whatsoever. So there's a lot of weird things in this movie that really doesn't make any sense. And I think you saw the scene where Ali is talking to Julia Roberts' character, and he's talking about what he thinks is leading to everything happening. He's talking about having this friend who is in like the defense ministry or whatever it is, and they're talking about, hey, we might be involved in secret societies that worship Satan, hint hint, wink wink. And then it goes on later on to saying that he also told me about the fact that the government can essentially fake a war and cause people to panic, and then just give it enough time and then they'll turn against themselves and the whole country will collapse. And it's like, where exactly is all this going? And keep in mind, none of this really comes back towards the ending of the film because it's left very open, right? So what we find out after the fact, what I found out after the fact, is that apparently this film is one of the several films from Obama's and Barack and Michelle's Higher Ground Productions, which means that they had a very keen hand into the screenwriting of this movie. And apparently after the fact, we found out that apparently the Obamas made special script notes in the movie for specific lines of dialogue to be included in the movie. So now, of course, people are pointing the fact that Barack Obama is like, hey, was he directly involved in some of the let's say conversations and dialogues that happened here in this film? Did he have more of a, I guess, more creative control about the dialogue in the story here? So, of course, like you said, his production company, who had a deal with Netflix, I'm not sure if they still do have a deal with Netflix, but they produce a number of documentaries and films on the platform. This was one of them that just got released. And like I said, people were noting about the whole thing with the Tesla thing that felt very odd and out of place. And now we can find out that because the Obamas were involved, that maybe that the whole scene with Tesla was a direct shot at Elon Musk, trying to criticize him for his cars and whatnot. We talked about Elon earlier on in the show, so that would kind of make sense. But people also pointed out that, like you said, that whole scene where the daughter is talking about not being able to trust white people when things break down like in society, that was a very off-putting conversation. She's a very off-putting character. But then you start to find out here that apparently Obama had made notes for the script, so people were saying that, well, clearly he changed some of the dialogue in the movie itself, being his production company. So was that something that Obama actually made the call to put into the film to try to create some kind of narrative that, when things get bad in society, is white people that we can't trust and things of that nature? Then, of course, that leads into the whole interaction with Kevin Bacon, where they go to Kevin Bacon for help. He doesn't want to help them, and they're trying to paint him as the bad guy because all of a sudden these strangers just show up to his house and they want help, but he doesn't want to help them. But they're passing off like he's the bad guy. And let's go ahead to hear Vanity Fair, while writing the script, Ishmael, who's the director and writer here, the guy from Mr. Robot, consulted with Obama, hoping that his perspective would ground the story and make it more realistic. So this is obviously talking about the whole story with like the government and the connections that he would have with the government at that point. He said that Obama thought the script was fairly close to how a crisis would actually pan out in the real world. He says that he had a lot of notes about the characters and the empathy that we would have for them, that he thought that we have empathy for these characters. That's very interesting. He says that I said that we have, you know, he's a big movie lover, that he wasn't just giving notes about the things that were from his background. He was giving notes as a fan of the book, and he really wanted to see a good film. So like I said, we don't know specifically what those notes entailed and what actual changes were made into the script, but we do know Barack Obama had influence in this movie and did make several key tweaks to the script and to the screenplay here. One of the scenes, like, shows a black couple in bed with the lines, "I'm asking you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust that should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people." This is coming from the black daughter in the film. People will notice that that scene that went viral on Twitter yesterday was demonizing towards white people. Now, at the time, like I said, I had no idea of the Obama's connection to the scene. I just thought it was a very like off-putting like line of dialogue. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now I'm starting to question, was there actually more to it here? And then, like I said, people pointing out, you know, the Elon Musk connection. There's also people saying that it was basically being celebrated by being racist towards white people, making the white people unlikable in the screen. So this is pretty much as far as we have here. We don't really have more in depth into that. All we know at the moment is that Obama was involved in tweaking the screenplay, and there was some scenes that people laid questions upon. So, Paulie, I'll start off with you, then I'll go to Rob here. What do you think about the Obama connection to this movie? Do you think that it had a negative influence, or it could have possibly had a negative influence on a lot of the dialogue issues that you had with the film?
Well, it makes sense. Garbage presidency, it's a garbage film.
So they said they mirror each other essentially, right?
Well, I mean, this is the movie you come out with first? This?
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Yeah.
This is where I get very anti-Hollywood. This really pisses me off, man. And then don't forget the Latino representation, which I think is a motif of how Hollywood treats Latinos. Ethan Hawke, his character, runs into a woman who doesn't speak any English on the road, and she's crying. She needs help. He doesn't speak a lick of Spanish, and he leaves her by the roadside.
That's right. It's like, I don't speak a lick of Spanish either, but I know what casa means, and I know casa is referring to her house. So clearly there's some kind of situation that happened at her home. I mean, there's enough Spanish you can know to figure out what she's talking about here.
And you're supposed to be like this liberal college university teacher. You don't know a fucking word of Spanish. Sorry about that. You don't know a word of Spanish. But the point is that I'm like, what was the whole point of that? It shows what a jerk he was. Okay. Anyways, yeah, the Obamas, listen.
Maybe the takeaway that they were trying to have here was that white people won't help you in times of need, because it seems to be the takeaway in some of the dialogue in the film. So maybe that's what they were trying to portray here.
But this is this is why none of this makes sense. Like, okay, this is a bad idea for a movie. First of all, there's no execution here of whatever the hell the original idea was, other than to try to like ratchet up the paranoia and anxiety of, hey, we don't know if this person is who they say they are. The daughter's line about, you know, trust should not be easily doled out. That line is fine. You know why? Because in this situation, logically, this makes sense. This is an interesting point in the story. When something is going on and you don't know who to trust, that means you don't trust anybody. You trust you and your own, and everybody else can go fuck themselves. In terms, you literally do not know the situation. And this is played out in like the Twilight Zone. It's played out in many, many movies. There's this great horror movie that came out a couple years ago that everybody didn't pay attention to, called I think it's called The Night Comes for Us. And oh no, shit, that's a Vietnamese crime movie I'm thinking of. No, but and I'll pull up the title later, but it's an incredibly interesting horror movie based on the distrust and fear of others. You know, there's like a plague going around, and it plays into like a zombie type of movie. I can't remember the title right now. I'm gonna have to look it up. But but there's so many ways to do this in an interesting executed story. And other than sort of having this vague distrust of people who are, you know, white, or, you know, this lady was Mexican, this is a black family. It's like, you can make a comment about race that's a lot more interesting if you don't like if you don't say it out loud, just because
Yeah, or
there's
don't say
fear
it,
and
right.
distrust of all human beings when you're in this
I'm just curious,
situation. You would be fearful of
something right here.
anybody in this situation.
I'm just curious, someone who's not seen this movie, but what exactly is the context of this girl saying that you can't trust white people? I mean, what in the movie did we see or hear that would have her reach that conclusion?
Nothing.
Because they're
Nothing.
in their house. Like, so Julia Roberts' family is renting this house as a vacation, and Mahershala Ali and his daughter show up saying, "Oh, hey, this is our house. We got out of the city because it's nuts there. Can we come in our house?" Basically, and her thing is like, "This is the second night we've been sleeping in the basement." Basically being an entitled little fucking brat during the situation. But her point stands without the racial aspect. That trust should not be doled out in like the end of the world situations. You don't know who these people are.
So she
Instead, they took this.
But this is another
this
point.
racial aspect just
So
ruined
she just
it.
threw that. She just threw that in.
Yeah, but I would say this is another pattern of bad writing. 'Cause like I said, what she said is valid, but then she tries to demonize white people for not trusting her, right? But at the very beginning, when they come in and it's like, yeah, like I said, we're supposed to go to some kind of event, but there's a blackout, so we're coming back here. Can we just like sleep in like the guest room and whatnot? So because we're in a situation here where so much things are happening and nobody knows what's going on, there's going to be a natural amount of distrust with everyone because she didn't trust, like they didn't trust them when they first came in because they didn't trust them as a family, and it's like, well, these people just clearly like walk out the street. We don't even know if you're actually who you say you are. So I mean, when you're in a situation where things are falling apart, yeah, there's going to be a natural amount of distrust for anyone, regardless of any racial aspect here. And it wasn't like Julia Roberts, even though she was just generally unlikable to begin with, it wasn't like that she was treating them essentially any differently than someone would be just trying to protect their family. Like there wasn't no lead up to it to be like, oh yeah, this woman doesn't trust us because we're black or something like that. Like there was no in forward situation like that we saw in the film.
One aspect that I'm hearing from all three of you is that you really don't care about these people because all of these people are rather horrible, and you have no problem with them being destroyed by whatever the issue crisis happens to be. That's a big flaw in a film because you have to identify with the characters, so you have to at least feel something for them, and you have to have a rooting interest. If you don't, if you know a film where these people are so horrible that you actually almost rooting for them to die or to be destroyed or what have you, then you're going to have a very bad film. You have to care about the characters, even if they're the heroes or even villains. You have to have some interest.
You can introduce a character as unlikable, but they can't stay that way throughout the entire course of the film unless there's a reason for it.
Well, that's just that's a one dimension, right? If you're just doing that, and that's what makes characters interesting is they're multi-dimensional, like we are, and there's layers.
Yeah.
What's go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say you could have a character who starts out a very rotten person, but then when you see them, I mean, I know you guys were talking about a Christmas Carol and Alistair Sims versions, by the way. I would say that you see the evolution in him, and that is why you end up loving or caring about his tree. You see the change from miser to Mary, from miser to Mary one night. In this movie, if you don't have that, if you don't have anyone change, if they start as bad people and they end up as people, you've taken the audience through a journey of nothing, because you give the audience absolutely nothing to care about. Every person changes. Every person will change through a bad experience, hopefully for the better, perhaps for the worse, but they still need to change. And if you keep them the same, then why bother? Why bother going on that journey with?
Well, one-dimensional characters are why the Western entertainment industry is just failing in general.
Yeah. I mean, so here's I guess the last point I want to bring up about this one is like I said, obviously
Mhm.
people are hitting up on the racial aspect of that scene, and that's one element to it. The other element that is being picked up, which I think is very interesting here, is that you have confirmed by the writer and director that he spoke to the former president of the
Mm.
United States to get his I guess inquiry about, hey, let's just say that the government created a cyber warfare against its own its citizens. What would that look like? Would this be a realistic scene? And apparently Barack Obama gave him insight of, yeah, this is totally how it would happen here. He put that into the film. So we're talking about aspects of the government creating literally a false flag warfare, because there was one scene where you see these red flyers coming out towards Ethan Hawke, and you have like "Death to America" written in Arabic. So you think that maybe this is an Arabic attack, but then you find out later on in the film that Kevin Bacon said that, well, apparently this happened in California and those letters were written in Chinese, so nobody really knows who's involved here, but it's just trying to instill just trust in people to get people to turn on each other. And this is essentially how the government would handle a false flag attack if they were trying to destabilize their own nation, right? So when a former president is bringing insight about a movie such as this, you start thinking to yourself, what exactly is fiction here? Or are you trying to tell us something that may happen here in the future? We're literally still on the heels of essentially the world shutting down due to a global pandemic just a couple of years ago, and now you're telling us in kind of a predictive programming sense that, hey, around the corner, cyber attacks, it's coming, and this is a preview what it's going to look like here. Especially when you're talking about there was also another scene of dialogue I mentioned here about, they were making emphasis to, like I said, secret societies running the world and cabals and things of that nature. It's like hitting it a little too close on the head there for it to be taken as just fiction, especially when you put lines out here about race of people that you want people to take seriously. How am I supposed to say, oh, that part you want people to take seriously, but this other stuff, oh, that's just filler for the movie, it's all fiction. So what do you think about that aspect, that you have a president essentially writing about the end of the world or the end of civilization here?
Well, first, it's not the first time that a producer has meddled in a film, and it's
Yeah, a president.
Yes, and we shut down the world, but if it saves just one life, it's okay. I would just that maybe the best idea to have the producer meddle so much, and I believe it's the former president telling you, hey, yes, if we're to end, it would be like this. The writer needs to have some imagination. But how are you going to push back against the president of the United States? And one last point, it's wonderful all the racial healing we've seen ever since he came into office. What a nice post-racial world we've lived in.
Everyone was supposed to come together voting for the black president. Now we're even worse off than we've ever been. So Paulie, what is your thoughts on Obama's input on, I guess, the disaster portion of this film?
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
A little sus.
That whole thing, it's all just very dark. Like everything that those things allude to. It gives me the ascos. It gives me the ascos.
I mean, even if we're talking about this from a purely fictional standpoint, we do have now confirmed that the former president of the United States was at least colluding or discussing the idea of creating a false flag attack that would doom the entire United States of America, even if it's only for a movie, if that's what we're to believe here. So we were talking about Alex Jones earlier. So
what's depressing to me is that you come up with this actually interesting idea of something that's truly terrifying and truly, a nightmare, a living nightmare. And this is like the result. You made a fucking shitty ass movie with a somewhat interesting premise, and you took it absolutely nowhere. That's really the depressing thing, is your propaganda fucking sucks. That's really why I'm depressed. It's like, scare the shit out of me. Actually affect me on a personal level. You can't even do that. Go fuck yourself. That's
right.
That's my takeaway.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, because it's not in the film, right? You didn't terrify me, man. You're absolutely right. You just disturb me, like the way When Evil Lurks did. I don't know if you got to see that this year.
Yep.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. When Evil Lurks, scariest movie of the year. Best horror film of the year. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. But here's what I was thinking, Rob, is that, you know what? I kind of want to read the book. I want to see like if they mangled it, because it's like you said, it's an interesting idea. I'm into that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be any worse than the movie, right? I mean,
no.
I mean, again, it's similar to another movie that I liked a lot called Standoff at Sparrow Creek, where this local militia, like basically gets set up by the local, or not even the local, the federal government, to, where they don't realize what they're doing until it's too late, and then like they're branded like terrorists or something. I'm like, that's some real fucking shit. That like, okay, now you've got my attention, kind of thing. So it's like there's a way to sort of execute these stories on a real level that can affect people deeply in that creepy way. But just this movie was terrible on
and
so
here's the
many
other
levels.
thing too, just real quick here. This is just another example of it. We've known this for quite a long time, but no one actually wants to talk about this. The connection between Hollywood and our government has been one that's been established for many, many decades. This is nothing new. Like intelligence agencies, presidents, whatever the case may be, they have been very, very close with Hollywood for many, many years. And every now and then, you always give them catching their hand in the cookie jar when it comes to creating a form of content that seems to predict a lot of things that could happen like in the future. There's a lot of, I mean, look, we talk about the 1990s. The 1990s was full of movies about essentially computers and artificial intelligence and all kinds of things taking over the world and dooming humanity. And now here we are 30 years later, and AI is just completely taken away, and we're supposed to believe that, oh no, this totally won't have a catastrophic effect of humanity in the last several years. It's almost as if they've been subtly telling you how this whole thing is going to play off from their perspective. I'm just saying that, yeah, here once again, we have another example of, I don't know, I don't want to call him a spook in context because that sounds bad, but you do have someone detected with the intelligence agency being involved in CIA. So
I know what you mean.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people don't, or you say that a lot of people don't know, except that our current installment in chief actually freaking gave away the secret that they are involved in Hollywood, because as he said when he got in office, we're going to change the way that commercials are made. We're going to we're going to take out white people from commercials.
You mean his handler said that? I don't think Biden.
No, he actually said that. He said that on TV. He said that.
Well, I'm all for taking white people out of commercials, because it's important.
We can't take them out completely, because how would we have that interracial couple that is dominant on television?
Or just have them just reverse the roles. Just have them all be
but then again, if we get rid of
and lawnmowers and all that stuff,
I was gonna say, if we get rid of white people out of the commercials, and how are Hispanics going to be their landscapers during the commercials too? I mean, they gotta have a job. They gotta be an ecosystem there.
Yeah.
Well, no, they'd be left on the side of the road, just screaming in Spanish, begging for their lives,
just like in the movie.
Exactly.
Yep. And then we got freaking Theon Greyjoy in the goddamn White House.
One more thing about that scene, just real quick. I like how when Ethan abandoned her and went towards the helicopter that was dropping those flyers, at no point did he think to turn around and at least try to pick that girl back up, because he ended up going back the exact same direction she was in.
Turned right around.
He could have turned her right around to be like, yeah, okay, get in the car or something like that. But it's like, nope, you're still fucked. And just drove off.
Carro, adentro, carro.
Such a weird scene, that scene.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look, Hollywood has worked with the government since at least the 1940s. If anyone remembers those films during World War II,
I mean, hell, you can go back even further than that. Hell, Birth of the Nation was screened at the White House at one point. So,
well, Woodrow Wilson did think it was a documentary. So
there is so much World War II propaganda, and I mean like studio propaganda movies that are just like.
They were encouraged by the studio. I mean, if you think even something as innocuous as Holiday Inn has a very, was it Holiday Inn? I think that has a very strange musical tribute to FDR. So, I mean, you just wonder. I wondered why that scene was there. I think it was Holiday Inn. I want to say it was that. or yeah, I think Fred Astaire was dancing to FDR to a tribute to him. Which is strange because Fred Astaire, I think, was a Republican. Point being, yes, there's always been work uh, with that. And it's strange that that doesn't get called out. But when John Wayne made the Green Berets with the help of the military, that was like, oh, deranged propaganda. It was like one movie compared to so many that we've seen. But I don't know. I don't see it as a conspiracy per se from the former president, the greatest president in my lifetime. It's more like it's a producer meddling in the film, as most producers tend to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Well,
being yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it definitely that was definitely the case. But the fact that it
Mhm.
was a former president, just
For a former
strange.
president, for all we know, might be pulling the strings with the current presidency. Who knows at this point? So,
But Mr.
Well, he
Robot,
did say that
a
that's
lot
what he
of
wanted to do.
Yep.
I never saw Mr. Robot, but I know that it struck a chord with a lot of like conspiracy theorists type of people. And it's like,
Mm.
okay, if the guy who created that, which for me is like a controlled opposition sneak or peek behind the curtain, like the kind of shit they want you to see or want you to be convinced of, it's like I am I that surprised that he would like allow Barack Obama to step over any creativity, creative input he might have to basically make the movie he wanted. It's just like, okay. I mean, none of these people are principled artists in that sense, and like working for Netflix, it makes it even worse. So,
Well, I mean,
but
in fairness, you've got the former president of the United States funding your project in some ways, so it's going to be a little extra cachet, regardless of regardless of what you think of the politics. It's a former president who's now aiming to be the producer and making content for, I presume, film and television. So that's still an add. That's
you
a
well,
touch
you know that
class.
Donald Trump is the former president, right?
Well, I've heard rumors, but I understand the election was stolen from him. So he's just like Stacey Abrams is the legitimate governor of Georgia.
Two-time
Yeah.
winner. Two-time
Yes,
winner.
two-time winner. Yes.
But I
She's
will
also
say
the
this
president
though.
of the Federation.
Yeah,
Yep.
president of the world. Wasn't she the president of the world?
It's probably the most legitimate office she's ever held up to this point. But yeah. So look, if you're gonna go watch this movie, here's what I have to say. Watch like the first 90 minutes, and then accept the fact that this is as good as it's gonna get, and then just quit. And that's probably the best way you can accept this movie.
How long was this movie again?
This movie's 2 hours and 21 minutes long.
All right, just to point out, and I know that
so it's
Rob
less
is a
time.
big noir guy. Detour, I think, was about 65 minutes, and In a Lonely Place is like 93 minutes. So amazing how you can tell better stories in a more concise way, spreading them out over 2 hours plus. If you're 2 hours plus and you tell no story, I don't know. This is a
Shocker,
time when
people who are good at their job don't need 4 hours to tell a good story. Snyder.
well, I think Jacob, this is like the rare time when maybe you write about money laundering because
Yep,
This
or
is a good
direct
time
government
to
intervention.
no, this is a good time to say, this is why you sail the high seas and not give them a dime.
What she's saying is that she's a big fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, if you know what I mean.
Or just see another film. Let's just recommend another film.
Like
Yeah,
Barbie.
don't
watch
see the movie
Godzilla
at all.
instead.
No, you should watch Barbie.
Well,
one
it's
of
on
the great
Netflix,
turning
so
points
like
of cinema.
I will say
All right,
this
then
real
watch
quick.
Yu Yu Hakusho on the 14th.
Or support
And-
Kingdoms live action. The fourth one got announced. I'm so excited for it. Oh my god! I know
Just
Spencer's keeping out too.
Just dive into Tubi. That's my recommendation.
Or
There's
Pluto
tons there.
TV. Pluto TV is amazing.
Yes.
I do recommend When Evil Lurks. It's on Shudder at this point.
Oh, Rob had a point there. I was going to let him go before.
Oh, I just want to say real quick. I've been catching up with the 2023 movies. I will say this, okay? I watched Old Dads, the Bill Burr movie.
Yeah.
I did
I didn't
not
finish
have a
it.
problem. Yeah, I did not have a problem with it at all. Like I heard a lot of people say that it starts off good, but then it goes woke, and it's like because the guy goes to therapy to try to control his anger, which is what you try. You try to be a responsible adult for your family, so that hopefully, like, they're not negatively impacted by it, and again, it balances this with him being like, I'm still the same asshole I've always been, but I just bite my tongue a little bit more. So I actually liked it. I thought it was a pretty good, it made me laugh pretty much all the way throughout. Yes, there's some dumb, like, modern shit in there, and like it makes fun of like them being like boomers and Gen Xers, but it also makes fun of modern society and says this is fucking ridiculous. So
It's a fun movie.
I don't know. Yeah,
We enjoyed it.
I did. I liked it. Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So
yeah,
we've come to the end of the show. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up and get you guys out of here. So I'll go ahead. I know, but this is the end. You came here for the good portion of the show, so that very convenient the way that worked.
I heard you guys talking about the Golden Globe nominations. Is everyone happy that all your favorite films got nominated?
No one cares about the Golden Globes.
I'm still waiting
no one
for
should
that.
give a shit about the
I'm telling
Golden
you,
Globes, dude.
I'm still,
Boycott
I'm still
'em.
waiting for the 6-disc criterion for Barbie, because it's one of the great
Oh,
films
God.
of our time.
Oh, before I forget, notice that Disney snuck Wish in.
Did it really?
Yes, they snuck Wish in for the best animated film category. We saw it. We saw them sneak that in.
Well, Paulie, can you imagine a scenario where somehow Greta Gerwig wins Best Director over Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese in the same year for Barbie?
Yes, I can.
There'd be protests in the streets.
No, I mean,
There
with
should
us,
be
there
riots
will
in the
be.
streets.
With us, there will be,
Apparently, they're
but
allowed now.
With the current state of Hollywood, it's Barbie's year. I see Barbie winning like design, best picture, best director, and then I see Oppenheimer winning like the best actors nominations. Even though it deserves everything, as far as those movies that are, I think
From what
Oppenheimer.
I've seen more hype from the community, from the film Twitter community for Oppenheimer for Best Picture, and for I've seen for Barbie, at least for Best Supporting Actor for Ryan Gosling. I've seen I'm dead serious. And I've seen for I've seen Martin Scorsese and Christopher Nolan for Best Director. At least that's what I've seen.
Well, Nolan's
I just know how the Academy votes. It's like Barbie's year, man.
Preferential balloting could get it to win. Preferential balloting could win in a wild scenario. That is a scary thought.
Let me just say, I did not like the film.
It didn't help
I'm
Top
just
Gun
saying,
last year. So.
I'm just saying that's how the Academy. It's a wet dream. It is a wet dream for them, guys. Come on, don't take this shit seriously.
Like I said,
we're talking about the Golden Globes.
Academy. Like I said, the
I'm thinking
these
I'm
awards
thinking
are
the
just a
Oscars.
circle jerk.
I'm talking about
They're just a circle jerk.
Yeah,
where
I'm more
everybody
so
can jerk
referring
each
to
other
the
off
Oscars
and
than anything else.
spread their splunk.
This is what I think about the current state of Hollywood.
What the fuck? What the fuck? You're relieved you don't have to go to work because you thought you were going to get eaten? What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
Yeah, so that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Golden Globes are a joke. Oscars, I think Oppenheimer is going to get a ton of awards, way more awards than Barbie.
Except for visual effects, and I'm hoping
visual effects, it's probably going to be Godzilla.
I think Godzilla has a very good chance there.
I've seen it twice so far.
Wow.
Have you guys seen American Fiction yet?
No, I don't think it's playing in my area just yet. Although I think I got a screener. I think I might have gotten a screener. So
I highly recommend that film. And we just had John Ortiz on. We interviewed him yesterday. And just,
wow.
Yeah, it's a really good
if
film.
you want a film recommendation at this time of the year, a couple films probably haven't seen yet. Tetris, if you guys haven't seen that one, definitely go back and watch that one. That's one of the better films of this year. And I'm going to keep going on The Child. I don't care what Rob has to say. He's lucky he's even on the show. The Child is also another
The what?
a good one too. The Child is a South Korean film. The setup is like a
write
kid's
that
being
down.
stalked by a serial killer or a hitman, and then
Ooh.
apparently his father also wants to kill him too. So there's a bunch of people who want him dead, and it's a very, very intriguing story. So there you go.
I'm just
Just a
lighting a
kid?
candle
Oh.
that The Boy and the Heron beats out literally one of the greatest films made in the history of cinema, Across the Spider-Verse, for animated feature.
Would you please shut the hell up?
And on that note, we'll go ahead and sign off. So let's go
Wow.
ahead and give people a chance to promote anything you got coming up. Paulie, since you joined us here last, I guess you get to go first and let
Okay.
people know what you got coming up. Man.
Yeah, videos up every day. I just put one up on Jen Ortega's got a new film that's debuting at Palm Springs Film Festival. Also some new videos. But then my next live stream, we're doing our special Christmas party stream next Monday night. I'm gonna have some live music and guests, and we're gonna give away stuff. I got film thread cups. I got shit I'm gonna give away to you guys. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas.
I still have a red cup from Film Threat that I got last year.
Oh,
It's still
really?
somewhere around here. It's in a box. I haven't unpacked it yet, but I do in fact have it. It's here. I can verify.
That award show was fantastic. We went to award this the other night. That was incredible. That's the award show that you should pay attention to.
Yeah, anyone that's not putting Barbie up as the best picture, there will be
Yeah.
a better award show. So there you go.
So,
Nerdigan, this is your time to shine. So won't you let people know where they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Nerdigans Inc., where I am currently fighting the system because for some reason they want to limit my monetization. It's really not fun fighting them, and also they are screwing me over with the algorithm. But anyways, besides my anime and manga content that I record on a regular basis, I am continuing to provide coverage for bounding into comics and also job hunting to get more work as well. And you can also find me on Twitter at Packer_girl. And yeah, you can find me if I am not burnt out. You can find me here too on every Tuesday. Again, if I am not burnt out from the stress.
God, there's so many jokes there. I'm just gonna leave it alone here. Rick, what you got coming up, Rick?
Yeah, just my usual haikus. I've got more reviews coming, and hopefully getting the screeners that I've gotten online and physical. So yeah, just keep watching for those. And yeah, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be here.
All right, Orange.
Well, I do Sunday recaps, weekly recaps on my channel. Tuesdays this month, I'm doing Christmas movie debates, where I just did Lethal Weapon earlier today. Next week is Rocky IV, whether or not it's a Christmas movie. Next week and the week after, my friend Jade Shadow and I are doing the 1s and 2s with Gremlins on her channel, and the Thursday singles with Krampus and Violent Night on my channel at 8 p.m. both days. And other than that, I just try to get as much content as I can out. I got a new video out today on Rachel Zegler blatantly lying about how much she loves Snow White. So yeah, that's a thing. But other than that, not much else. I'm trying to I'm trying to get the 1,500 before the year's out, subscriber wise, and trying to get the 4,000 hours.
Do it, brother. Do it.
Rob. I'm pretty sure you're still in all of the Titans game from last night, but you got anything else outside of that?
Yeah, no, I'm finishing up watching 2023 movies this month. So if you have a good recommendation, just send it to me. That's my Twitter there on the screen. And that's about it. I wish they would stop making product movies like, Air and Tetris and Blackberry and Dumb Money. But and what was the Hot Cheetos one? Flamin' Hot.
Flamin'
There's
Hot.
like 7. There's like 7 product movies, by the way, that came out.
Let me know what you think after you see it, though.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then letting you know what I got coming up here on the channel for the next week. So this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be doing the Friday Night Movie Club. We're going to be reviewing Wonka for the first part of the show. So we're going to be doing a review on that film. And then we're also going to be doing a movie night. So immediately after our review, we're going to be watching a film that Paulie might know, a little film called Hollywood Shuffle. You ever heard of that film? With Robert Townsend?
Winky Dinky Dog.
Let's put it this way: if you were here when we watch "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker," you're gonna love this film. It's gonna we're gonna watch this on Friday night. It's gonna be a very, very funny film. So many familiar faces you guys know from that movie, so that's gonna be a pretty fun night. That's this Friday on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Rumble as well. So that's what we got coming up. Then next coming Monday, we're gonna be doing episode 23 of the Bible Lens podcast. I did episode 22 last night by myself. It was a pretty solid show, kind of exposing the Catholic view of Mary, and now we're going to talk about the NIV Bible next week as well. So that's what I got coming out there. And then next Tuesday night we'll be coming here talking about episode 79 of the Barroom podcast. Now I don't know if we're going to be doing the Barroom on the 26th, which is the day after Christmas, so we may skip that week. We may or may not skip that week. It depends on how I feel, so I'll keep that in mind and I'll let you guys know what the final decision is. But we will be back here next Tuesday night for the Ballroom podcast. So for everyone who joined us here, I thank you for giving me time on your Tuesday night to join us here on the show. All right, people are already making Weekend Dinky Dog jokes in the chat. So
Dinky Dog.
Man, there's gonna be
Sterling
Weekend
K.
Dinky
Brown,
Dog and Afro Sheen, and just like, oh man, there's so much about that movie to love. But quick little shout out to everyone who joined us here tonight: Neozoic, Kate, Alex vs. Evil, Vanya, Spencer, Josh, obviously, Duke Nukem, who joined us in the chat tonight, Biggles Metz, who is here, JEC joining us here tonight as well. Who else do I miss? I want to make sure I'm missing one. Don't Let Him Burn, awesome one, who was also with us here tonight. Dave joining us, RC Scott joining us here on the show, Dante, what was it? Dave. I want to make sure I got everyone. Eddie Brock, Vex Electronica joining us here on the show tonight. And I think we got pretty much everyone. So everyone who joined us, if I missed you, I'm glad you guys joined us. Hopefully we'll see you guys, if not Friday night, if not Monday night, next Tuesday night here on the Barroom podcast. So now we're going to go ahead and hit the outro and get out of here. So adios, people. Good night. Goodbye. We'll see you later.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. Get out! Get out! You get the hell out! Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.